Hey, fool, I know they not happy with Nicki Minaj right now. I know everybody was looking at her sideways when she was on the stage with Erica Kurt and she did a little event for JD Vance. But did she just expose something? Y'all see her face. It's because of what she said about JD Vance.
You have amazing role models like the assassin JD Vance, our vice president. And when I say that,
He assassin?
Kardashian, this costume is fire. You know exactly what this is. Oh, you don't know? You don't know? It's not a game.
So as of late, people who have been eating Chick-fil-A are saying that they are experiencing severe stomach pain.
It starts with the chicken, the most important part. We've perfected the LGC, lab-grown chicken.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you guys. We talk about the most scarce and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, that's gonna make us question everything. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Say it with me, y'all. Let's seek the truth.
In the world right now. 2/3 of America now says that a 4-year college degree is not worth the cost. A Turkish court ruled that social media likes can be considered a breach of trust, specifically in divorce cases. A new study shows that living in the United States as a single adult with no children requires $106,745 per year before taxes to live comfortably. Campbell's Soup, that company, they put one of their executives on a leave recently because apparently in a recorded meeting he was talking about how their product is for poor people. Detroit has launched the first road that charges electric vehicles while driving on it. It only goes for 1/4 of a mile, but it's the beginning of what the future is probably going to look like. This is a video of the world's second largest diamond ever found recently going into the hands of the Botswana president. 65% of users on dating apps are married or in a relationship, according to a recent report. What are we doing? What the?
Look at the guard's key and instantly memorize the pattern. Then he would file a piece of scrap metal into the exact same shape and let himself out of prison. You see, as an autistic child, he had a special talent for mechanics, and when his father died, he left his tools to him. But his stepmother called the police, since the will hadn't been read yet. He was sentenced to 4 years, but after just a month, he climbed over the razor wire fence and ran. Now this added more time to his sentence, as well as solitary confinement. But once he was back in his cell, he used a makeshift saw to cut through the bars. Another time, he made a zip gun from a tube of toothpaste, pointing it at the prison guards as he ran. And after 13 escape attempts, his sentence stretched to 34 years, with 27 of those spent in solitary confinement. And even though people have protested, he's still in prison to this day.
That's nice.
What in the freaking MacGyver did we just watch, bro? Making makeshift freaking saws? That little thing with a toothpaste tube, bro? How is he doing it, bro? That's crazy, man.
Over 130,000 people lost power in San Francisco. This is the map of San Francisco. And those red areas right there is where everybody lost power. So as you can see, this wasn't a small outage. This was a very big outage. Look at this shit. Everywhere, even on Market Street.
Dark Ages.
It's crazy.
Oh, this looks sick. Oh, this looks sick.
When the power stops, everything stops. You had people stuck in elevators. Traffic signal wasn't working. As you can see the traffic right there. Now you ask yourself, how could some shit like this happen? You have robot taxis just stopping in the middle of the street. And when I mean stopping, I mean no movement at all. Now they're saying that this massive outage started from a fire. And after that fire, do you see how fast that escalated? But think about this. If that can happen in San Francisco, California, where else can it happen at? Because if you do your research, San Francisco is one of the most advanced cities in the world. I need you to let that sink in. This much of San Francisco was dark last night. If it can happen there, it can happen anywhere.
Is this not weird to y'all?
Wow.
In the Drake and Josh movie that came out, 15 years ago, their Christmas movie, in the background, you know how there's Victoria's Secret? Well, there's Snyder's secrets. Yeah, like this Snyder. This is disgusting to me because they'll tell us the truth every single time. You just gotta look for it. But because we're kids, we don't notice until we get older. Snyder's secrets. Yes, bro, like we know a lot of your secrets. We don't know all of them, but we know a lot of them. I find this very distasteful because while we're trying to expose the Epstein files, we need to expose the Dan Snyder files because I'm pretty sure he's probably on that list. But he's also have his own list, his Nickelodeon list. Those of you who do not find this insane to me, I don't know if somebody was trying to tell on him or if it was like, ha, 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 no one's going to notice. This is strange, like no matter how you view it. The reason why it's strange is because he has so many secrets and so many things he's done to so many people. Let me just give you guys some screenshots. Yeah, like you want disturbing? I'll give you disturbing. Where's the Snyder files? Yes, and I can just keep going. Weird. Her chin is touching his face. And why is he creepy, right? I mean, we already know about, you know what I'm saying? I mean, and then she already wrote a book and she's already exposed him. So I think there needs to be a petition to open up Snyder's files, okay? And Snyder's secrets.
Why your birth order actually really matters. So the following is part 3 of a 4-part series determining which is the superior sibling. Okay, always research. Lastborns generally aren't the strongest or the smartest in the room, so they develop their own ways of winning attention. They're natural charmers with an outgoing and social personality. No surprise then that many famous actors and comedians are babies of the family. Youngest children do, however, tend to have the lowest IQs, as a 2007 study showed that the more older siblings one has, the lower one's IQ is. And the youngest of 10. Not ideal. Youngest children generally also receive the least discipline and get away with a lot more, leading them to engage in riskier behavior and go into higher risk, more creative careers. Also, just a warning, but according to psychologist Kevin Lehman in this book, couples consisting of 2 lastborns are also the most likely to get into debt. And the series finale comes tomorrow, and we're looking at you, only children.
Kim Kardashian, this costume is fire. You know exactly what this is. Oh, you don't know? You don't know?
Reptilian.
What's next? What you gonna be next Halloween? You see it. I don't even gotta say nothing. Well, I already said something. It's getting crazy, guys. 2024. Get ready. Why? Oh, we know why. TikTok, this is for entertainment purposes only. I'm only showing Kim Kardashian's Halloween costume. That's all I did. Everybody seems to like this. Oh, so you're not ever gonna hide anymore, huh? Gotcha. Real detailed. Not bad at all. I'm getting kind of scared looking at this. I don't know, guys. You let me know what you think. I don't even know when's the last time I dressed up for Halloween. Wow, they did a great job with this. I tell you that much. This looks really real. It's not real. Day after day, they keep showing us. And you people don't want to see it. Why? Because there's nothing to see here. It's just a costume. Very interesting. Get ready. The clock is ticking. I'm out of here.
You know, Eddie Clean had a costume like that this year, bro. I'm trying to, bro. One of my freaking the conspiracy theories I got going around in my head, man. They wear those costumes, bro, to just, I guess, to get the public more used to it. So somebody could walk around in a freaking reptilian suit costume, bro. You couldn't. What happens if they was like legit a real reptilian, man? But because we be seeing so many people wear those costumes on Halloween, man, people just brush it off, bro. They just say, that's just a costume, bro. You never know, man. Hey.
Dangerous are truly those jungles. Average man gets dropped in the jungle.
You're dead.
Really?
You're dead.
Really?
If you get dropped far enough into the jungle, you're dead.
What's killing you first?
You'll get lost. You get turned around in the Amazon. Everything looks the same. It's not like here where you have big trees and small trees and landmarks. In the Amazon, everything looks the same, and everything wants to eat you. I mean, even the bees are carnivorous in the Amazon.
What?
The bees were one of the worst torments for me. And I enjoyed being in the Amazon, by the way. I was there by choice. But mosquitoes were always a nuisance. The bees were worse because I would have like a cut on my arm. I'd always have some open wound. I had this open wound on my arm. And during the day, the bees come. And the bees will land on your arm. And they're these little bees. And they will yank at your flesh. Like they'll bite off a piece and yank it off. What? So you constantly have bees pulling little pieces of your open wound away.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it was, and they also sting you, but sting isn't really bad. They're like miniature.
Yeah, when they're eating your flesh off, that sounds.
That drove me crazy. Everything wants to eat you in the Amazon.
Hey, fool, I know they not happy with Nicki Minaj right now. I know everybody was looking at her sideways when she was on the stage with Erica Kurt and she did a little event for JD Vance. But did she just expose something? Y'all see her face? It's because of what she said about JD Vance. Fool, she real live called this man an assassin. And then after that, she put her hand over her mouth. Like she knew she fucked up. Like, damn, I really said that? And then she just completely stopped talking for like a couple minutes. And then Erica Kurt tried to console her. Y'all, look at this video.
You have amazing role models like the assassin JD Vance, our vice president. And when I say that,
the assassin?
Trust me, there's nothing new under the sun that I have not heard, so you're fine. Yes, we did.
Hey, fool. Y'all, she went even longer without talking. This shit wild, fool. Why did Nicki feel as if she needed to cover her mouth and not say nothing else because she said assassin? Do she know something we don't know?
It's the theory for Home Alone 1. So the whole movie is actually an allegory for Christianity. And Jesus is actually in the movie. Remember the really creepy old man in the movie? That's actually supposed to be Jesus the whole time. Remember the first time he shows up?
In the house, right?
No, it was at a store.
Oh,
and he's buying things at the store. And he notices he has a bandage on his hand and he's bleeding, right?
Yeah.
It's bleeding from the top with a bandage.
Okay.
Later, when Kevin is running away from the burglars, and then where he's running to, he runs into a church. Right? And then remember the burglars go, oh, I don't like that. It's because they feel the presence of God. Now when he walks in there, the script itself, if you read the Home Alone script, it says Kevin walks in and he realized the Spirit of God is there.
Oh, that is?
Yeah, in the script. Oh. That was like the emotion they were trying to play off on the scene. He sits down in the pews, and guess who sits beside him?
The old man?
The old man, yeah. But this time you see his hand facing this way. And what is it? It's the bandage and the blood is in the middle.
Okay.
Just like when Jesus had the nail through his hand.
Insane.
So it shows that it went through both sides, fam. Now at the end of the movie, what happened? When he couldn't take on the burglars by himself, who saved him?
It was the old man, right?
It was the old man that saved him when he couldn't do it himself and sacrifice himself to save.
Swiss church just
I didn't even
installed
think
an
about
AI
that.
Jesus, and 1,000 people spoke to it for guidance. This was called Deus in Machina, an art and research project in one of Switzerland's oldest churches in Lucerne. Visitors could speak about faith, doubt, grief, love, or everyday worries, and get real-time responses from an AI avatar trained on religious texts. Some people found the experience thoughtful and reflective, appreciating the non-judgmental space and immediate availability without needing appointments. But others said the answers felt superficial and lacked the emotional depth and genuine empathy that comes from human clergy. The church made clear this was not real confession and would never replace actual priests, but it raises a critical question. Can AI provide meaningful spiritual guidance, or is something essential missing when algorithms replace human connection? This addresses a real problem since there's a global clergy shortage with overworked religious leaders who can't meet all parishioner needs. AI offers 24/7 availability in multiple languages with no geographic limitations. But the risks are serious. Intimate confessions could be recorded and exploited. AI might give theologically incorrect or harmful advice. And there's economic pressure to replace expensive human clergy with cheap AI, creating a two-tier system where wealthy people get humans and poor people get algorithms. This experiment succeeded as research by forcing us to grapple with hard questions about authenticity. But as a solution to spiritual needs, it falls short because technology can't replace genuine human empathy and pastoral relationships in sacred context. If you enjoyed this, drop a like and comment below. Follow for more stories like this.
Confessing to an AI, that's a diabolical path, man, that we're going down, bro. That means you're putting your faith in your religion into a machine, like you said, that's just going to be fed by algorithm. The fact that, like I said, I could kind of see what he said wealthy people, they would get the actual humans, and he said the poor people would get the machine, bro. Because you know, Everything in this world, bro, comes with a price, man. Somebody can find a way to make money off something, it's gonna be done. I feel like that's a dark path we're going down on, bro. We shouldn't be using AI like that at all.
This guy's going viral right now for asking MrBeast how many likes that he needs to get on a TikTok video for him to be in a MrBeast video. And it looks like he is actually going to reach his goal. So this dude tracked down MrBeast right after MrBeast was done filming. But this is where it gets more worser. He approached MrBeast's car to be in a MrBeast video. And this is where it gets so much more insaner. MrBeast initially said 1 billion likes. And there's only been one video on TikTok ever with over 1 billion likes. And MrBeast decided to be generous. He lowered the amount of likes the kid needed down to 100 million. But 100 million likes has only happened like 6 or 7 times. And MrBeast finally caved. He finally lowered the amount of likes that kid needs down to 10 million likes on that post. And this is where it gets even more insaner. This kid might actually make it, because after the first 24 hours, he already has 30 million views and 7.9 million likes. MrBeast even commented, "Follow and I'll keep you updated. Do you think he'll hit 10 million likes?"
This has reached a whole new level of law. Why are they trying to plant Michael Jackson in the Epstein files? They've included this photo blurring out what seems to be a minor and making it look very dodgy. I tell you what's dodgy is the fact that the original photo is very traceable on Google, so they need to sack their Photoshop expert. The photo was taken in 2003 at a Democrat party for a fundraiser with his own children. Unblanked out, the original, you can actually see Diana Ross, Michael Jackson and his children. But they have actually photoshopped the children at the front to make it look like one child in the photo and blanked it out because it's a minor. Second photo they've included, clearly to try and back up the last one, is obviously Michael Jackson and Jeffrey Epstein. The photo is also heavily accessible on Google, and it was taken in Palm Beach because Michael Jackson was buying a property. Do they not understand that people are digging into these photos? So these stupid errors are going to be found out. Nothing surprises me anymore, but even this is pretty low from the elites.
Like when I was doctoring photos, what the hell? Because when the Epstein file released, and I saw a couple of pictures floating around, but I didn't know they was edited. Man, the Epstein file, bro, you're going down that rabbit hole. It's just gonna make your brain hurt, bro.
Jail, I got to the point of learning how to astral project. I got into the point of learning how to meditate. I got into the point of learning how to see which energies I'm using in my body. I got into the point of knowing all of that shit. I'm like and this is just something that's available to anybody. I'm not saying I'm putting everybody on beat that should practice this shit because, bro, I don't think it's fucking fair that nobody's getting a chance because they don't know this shit. Pay attention to that shit. You are the key. You are the key. Nothing else is the key. The law of attraction at its finest will always work with the human mind. Anything you want, you can attract. You are the key. You can be more successful than I am. You may have more energy than I do. I am nothing special. Use your brain. Attract what you want. Believe in yourself. You are capable. That alone is the key to success.
What do you think happens after you die?
If you didn't get it right, you're gonna come back.
I thought this was the only owl in Bohemian Grove, but I was wrong. Before I show you the second owl, you need to understand that everything we heard about Bohemian Grove was a lie.
There were 32 camps.
The Hillbillies, they're the biggest one, right?
The band was the biggest.
The band.
When I found the secret documents about Bohemian Grove that are only for the Grove members, the biggest camp is Aviary Camp. It has 116 members. The band camp has only 68 members, and there are 120 camps according. Now check this. The new production facility is partially built into the hillside to reduce the space those functions took on the stage floor. If we look at the map, the hillside is here, so definitely the stage of the owl is somewhere in this area. However, our hero dancer one pissed on the owl in this area, and this new owl looks small compared to the old one. They were working on the Grove project since 2017, and the project was completed in July 2021, and they are expecting that would make this stage be effective for at least another 50 years.
So as of late, people who have been eating Chick-fil-A are saying that they are experiencing severe stomach pain, nausea, and digestive issues. Y'all don't understand, the food is not the same anymore. And it's not just one person. I've seen multiple testimonies of people saying the same thing. This is crazy, y'all. They're really messing with our livelihood.
Eating Chick-fil-A in like the last 6 months to a year, has it been hitting your stomach differently? I feel like my wife and I's stomach has been torn up, and it didn't used to be like that, but it is now consistently a problem every time we go. So it's like we can't even eat there anymore.
You seen Buddy's eyes? But this been going on for a year, y'all?
PSA, y'all better stop eating that Chick-fil-A, okay? People are getting sick. It's making y'all sick. There's something in that chicken. Chick-fil-A chicken is making y'all sick. You're going to be sitting up throwing up. Chick-fil-A, something's wrong with it right now. In the last 3 or 4 days, numerous of people have been getting sick, and the only common denominator is Chick-fil-A. When are we going to admit that Chick-fil-A is now nasty? The chicken doesn't taste the same. It's nasty. I got a grilled chicken sandwich for the first time a couple weeks ago because it was free. I got a reward. Mind you, I tried this chicken sandwich years ago because my mom and my sister loved the sandwich. I tasted theirs. It was good. Now it tastes disgusting. I really believe they're using fake meat now.
Chick-fil-A has changed their chicken, so it's disgusting. I thought Chick-fil-A's chicken made me feel sick. I took one bite of the sandwich, and I'm not kidding you. I sat in line for about 50 minutes, which was like so not like Chick-fil-A, only to get this sandwich that tasted like rat meat, literal rat meat. What is going on? It was disgusting. I almost threw up. Not to be dramatic, but I really don't want to sit and complain about something like this, but what is going on with Chick-fil-A, y'all?
Welcome to Chick-fil-A, home of the original chicken sandwich. Why don't you come inside and I will show you around. Our experience starts here with the cashier. We have them trained to be the nicest so everyone feels good when ordering.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Here she is in all of her glory, the original chicken sandwich. Over 50 ingredients created right here in our Chick-fil-A labs. It all starts with the chicken, the most important part. We've perfected the LGC, lab-grown chicken. So the trick is to take a little bit of DNA from this little guy here, and then we put it in some dishes to grow little guys like these. Pretty cool, right?
No.
Once fully grown, we give them their special blend shot that gets them ready for you, our blessed customers. How did you think we had enough chicken for all of you people? Eat more chicken.
I always did find it weird that a cow specialty was cooking chicken. But yeah, y'all, they're telling you right in your faces. With fast food going down, there's no way you should be eating these places, y'all. The shit is here. Let me know what you guys think about this video. Let's get it.
Why you should never do this. This is 17-year-old Michael Dumas. He was on a church trip to Florida with some of his friends. While on this trip, they went to Pompano Beach, and he would be buried in the sand as you see here. He'd soon be unburied and all would be well until later that night when he would wake up in the middle of the night and be itching like crazy and sweating. At first, this would be labeled as an ear infection and he would be sent home with drops, but it would soon be obvious that that's not what it was, as he started to develop these raised, bumpy rashes. And he became pretty lethargic, just wanting to sleep all the time. It got even worse to the point where he was having these big, nasty blisters. And that's when he'd finally be diagnosed with cutaneous larva migrans, which is pretty much dog or cat hookworm. So pretty much these work by the dog or the cat pooping in the sand and contaminating it, and then not long after, these microscopic larvae hatch, and then you step in this contaminated sand and you end up looking like Michael. After all of this, he ended up developing a staph infection as well, and if it's not bad enough just him getting infected, 5 others from this trip got infected with hookworm as well.
Normal looking photos with disturbing backstories, part 2. This Snapchat was the last photo ever taken of Sydney Loof, a woman who was killed by her Tinder date. Her body was cut into 14 different pieces, and when it was brought back to the morgue, it was in 6 different bags. This man was transferring oxygen tanks for 12 boys and their coach. He didn't have enough oxygen for himself, however, and died after losing consciousness in one of the cave's passageways. This man is Issei Sagawa, an actual cannibal from Japan. This photo was taken by a Japanese magazine after he was released from prison for insanity. The man in this photo, Franklin Floyd, married a woman and had custody over her children while she was in prison for 30 days. The girl in this photo is one of her children, whom Floyd kidnapped to start a new life with. He left the other siblings behind, and after this photo was taken, he went to another state, changed both of their names, and claimed her as his biological daughter. Later, he went on to marry her.
World is a weird place. The former Abercrombie & Fitch CEO was just arrested on serious charges and will probably be in prison for the rest of his life. So this is 80-year-old Mike Jeffries, the A&F CEO from 1992 to 2014. You might recognize him because he's been in hot water before, when an interview resurfaced from 2006. where basically he said he wants cool, attractive people wearing A&F, and that fat, old, unattractive people can go somewhere else. In 2004, there was a class action lawsuit brought by minority employees who said that they were denied employment or forced to work in the back so customers didn't see them. A&F paid $40 million to settle that case. In 2005, there was some controversy surrounding shirts that read, quote, "Who needs a brain when you have these? Gentlemen prefer tickle bitties," and "Do I make you look fat?" So now let's get to the criminal allegations. Mike Jeffries, along with his partner and another man, were arrested yesterday. It is alleged that from 2008 to 2015, these men operated an international trafficking ring. Jeffries and others paid dozens of men to travel to various locations to hold these parties, basically equivalent to Diddy's freak-offs. And these young, vulnerable men were led to believe that this could lead to modeling opportunities and benefit their career. But when they arrived, all their personal items were taken, including cell phones, wallets, and clothing, and they were required to sign NDAs. Victims were injected with drugs, and even when they could not consent or did not consent, Jeffries and his partner would armor them personally or use objects. The youngest victim was 19 years old, but it's believed that many, many more victims have yet to come forward. Mike Jeffrey and the other defendants face a minimum of 35 years in prison, which is a life sentence for the 80-year-old Mike Jeffries. However, he is free right now because he paid a $10 million bond.
These CEOs, man. How many more crooked CEOs in the world have to be exposed? You know, it's a long list. Whew. Be careful, man. Gotta keep our eyes sharp out here in these streets.
She must have been out of her head.
Not long after this woman vanished, all hell broke loose. Hi, my name is Ethan, and here's everything you need to know in under 1 minute. 35-year-old Crystal Rogers was living with her boyfriend Brooks Huck and her children. On July 3rd, 2015, Brooks woke up and noticed that Crystal wasn't in bed and her car wasn't in the driveway. 2 days had gone by and no word from Crystal was given, until they found her car parked alongside the Bluegrass Parkway with a flat tire, the keys in ignition, and purse and phone in the passenger seat. Almost immediately, Crystal's family suspected her boyfriend Brooks. What's interesting is 16 months later, Crystal's father, Tommy Ballard, was hunting where an unknown subject fired a shot, hitting and unaliving him. Police are still looking for Crystal and also who unalived her father, and they believe the two cases are connected.
What do you guys think, Seekers?
Weirdest kid toys ever, part 24. So next up we got some bubbles. And it's like a sword. You dip it in like the thing with all the bubble solution crap, and then blah blah blah, you blow your bubbles. But if you take a nice close look at the thing that holds the bubbles, it looks like a nice old dude.
This is why I would never understand fraternities or hazing or anything of that nature. This guy right here, his name was Danny, and he was 18 years old, attending the University of Missouri, not knowing that this one particular fraternity hazing event would lead to his life being forever changed. Now, this happened in 2021, and he was forced to drink 1 liter of vodka by himself, and he was seen on CCTV footage being carried downstairs. Now, this had happened after he was being forced to go into a thing of broken glass, leaving him basically in crutches. But this particular evening, he was caught on CCTV footage being carried around onto a couch on CCTV footage, and then he was being dragged into a car, and I think he fell out the car at one point. And then he was taken to the hospital. At this point, he was already in cardiac arrest by the time he had got to the hospital. He was in a coma for a long time. He finally was able to get out of the coma. Unfortunately, he lost his ability to see, brain function, and this is him now, y'all. This is so sad. Please do not let fraternity, hazing, or any of that kind of stuff affect your life, because this is crazy to me. Like, this is not hazing. This is torture.
Creepy games from...
She was spitting facts, man. Like I said, some of those hazings, they're not even hazing. They're just shit fit. Seems like it's a torture scheme. Like people trying to do that to fit and be cool, man. I'm cool off that. When it gets too extreme, y'all got that. I'm out. I'm my own person, man. I'm not going through all that crazy crap just so a bunch of people I know can accept me. If you can't accept me for who I am, why would I want to be friends with you?
From around the world, part 1. South Korea's The Elevator Game, which will supposedly take you to a whole nother dimension. The only thing you need for this game is an elevator, a building with 10 floors, and to be alone. So get in the elevator on the first floor. then push the 4th floor. Once you get to the 4th floor, don't get out. Push the 2nd floor. Once you get to the 2nd floor, push the 6th floor. Once you get to the 6th floor, push the 2nd floor. Once you get to the 2nd floor, push the 10th floor. Once you get to the 10th floor, push the 5th floor. That's when a woman may enter. Don't look at her, don't talk to her. Then push the 1st floor. If you start going up to the 10th floor, then you know it worked. Once you get to the 10th floor and get out, the woman may ask you, where are you going? Don't answer, but you'll know you've made it there because you're the only living thing there. But the hardest part isn't getting there, it's getting back.
Imagine dropping your child at school.
I won't be playing
A
that.
day like any other. But instead of being called to pick her up, you're called to pick up her body. Here's what we know. On Wednesday, the 7th of August, after failing to return home after school, 16-year-old Devaney Null was reported missing. After a later police search of the Overberg High School premises, however, her body was discovered in a storage room. In the aftermath of the disturbing discovery, the school has been closed today, the 8th of August, and counseling services have been offered to both students as well as their parents. A murder case has also been opened, and the investigation has been transferred to the Provincial Serious and Violent Crimes Team. Anyone with information about the crime can contact Investigating Officer Leon, or alternatively the Crime Stop hotline. As always, I'll be sure to keep you updated.
As the renewed search for the missing Beaumont children reached its 4th day today, the brothers who said the prime suspect hired them to dig a grave-like hole at the site in 1966 have come to assist. So in 1966, Robin and David Harkin were paid by the prime suspect in the case, Harry Phipps, to dig a grave-like hole at the former Castellet factory that's southwest of Adelaide, not far from the beach where the Beaumont children disappeared. And this happened only days after the children went missing. The Harkin brothers were boys at the time, and they didn't really think anything of it until 2013 when a documentary featuring the missing Beaumont children was aired, and it discussed Harry Phipps as a potential suspect. Phipps didn't become a serious suspect until 2004 when he passed away and his son Hayden made allegations about him and about the day the Beaumont children disappeared. So when the brothers saw this documentary talking about the children and Harry Phipps, they recalled this hole that he paid them to dig just days after the children went missing. Over the years, there have been a few searches at this property, but to no avail. But on Saturday, an excavation of the property was organized by independent MP Frank Pangalo. This new dig is taking place before the government-owned land is sold to developers, and it is due to stop on March 1st. Pangalo said this new search is far more intensive than previous digs by police of the same site. Earlier this week, they discovered a hardened slab that was buried deep beneath the dirt that had never been found before. And then on day 4, the Harkin brothers arrived to assist. Pangalo said the information provided by the Harkin brothers has changed the direction of the dig, saying, quote, the brothers were able to pinpoint the position they thought they had dug the hole. They provided a lot of useful information. They've given us a lot more clarity on where to dig. This dig is only set to continue through this weekend, so hopefully something is found and the Beaumont children can finally be found and their family and the community can finally have answers about what happened to them.
Justice for them.
The couple behind me are 38-year-old Crystal Turner and 24-year-old Caitlin Schultz. They were a married couple who absolutely loved camping and spending time in the outdoors, but the pair were last seen alive on the 13th of August 2021. They were last seen at a bar in Morb at 9:30 that night. Witnesses who had seen them at the bar claimed that nobody had followed them out that night. After no one had heard from the pair for a few days, Caitlin's father contacted a friend who lived in the area where they were camping, and the father had said down the phone to Caitlin's friend that Caitlin and Crystal were a little bit concerned about a creeper dude that had been near their campsite. So the friend went to their campsite in the La Salle Mountains, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, and this was on August 18th, 2021, so a couple days after they'd last been heard from. And when they did this, they actually stumbled across their remains. And the worst part is they were on the phone with Caitlin's father as they discovered them. And the friend then contacted the police. Both of them were found undressed from the waist down in a creek, and they had both been shot to death. And this case was pretty much cold, and it still kind of is. Now, this one is technically unsolved, and I'll explain why in a minute, but there's actually no way we can confirm who did it. And it wasn't until May 2022 when police said that they had a suspect in this case, and this suspect was called Adam. But however, Adam was reported to have left the state and then
taken his own life. Adam had also confessed to another killing in that area as well and provided police with details that were not known to the public. The motive for the murders still remains completely unknown, and it's still not clear if this Adam character did actually murder them, and I suppose there's going to be no way to prove it because he's dead. But I just think this one is absolutely heartbreaking, and the pair deserved so much better.
Be careful when you're out. You never know, man. Dangers lurk around each and every single corner. Witness that firsthand. You know, if you're expert level seekers, man, you can see through all the edits.
Y'all, the Watts house has to be haunted, because tell me why the new owners of the Watts house are getting a divorce, and allegedly the dad, the husband, put his hands, or was some type of DV situation, or whatever the case may be, towards the wife. This is crazy. So basically the Watts house was put on the market after Shanann, Bella, and Cece were unalived by Chris Watts. It took a while for the house to sell. It was on the market for a long time. I want to say it was on there for $700,000, right? They went ahead and closed on the house, and for what it seemed like, everything was going well. Well, eventually there was a report that there was a call from the wife. They also, mind you, have 2 daughters and 1 son. It's very similar to what Shanann and Chris, had. They were going to have a son, and they also had 2 daughters. Anyways, so there was a call of a domestic complaint, and the wife basically said that she felt like her husband was going to put his hands on her. I think he was, either maybe drunk or whatever the case may be. I'm not 100% sure, but there was some type of domestic dispute in the house. Now, he did get arrested, y'all. He did get arrested. I was able to find proof of his arrest. There is a record. Basically, you got to look into, I believe it was Frederick, Colorado. And yeah, it will come up. But anyways, he did get arrested, and they're selling the house. They're getting a divorce, selling the house, allegedly. Now the house is back on the market. I'm not 100% sure if it's sold to a new person yet or not, but it's back on the market again. Y'all, I feel like this house needs to be torn down and turned into a memorial at this point, because why is it every time they sell this house, it's getting back on the market?
This is a case that has continued to bother me. Sarah Kinslow was born on June 14th of 1986. She grew up with 3 siblings and 2 loving parents in Greenville, Texas. Growing up, she was very musically inclined. She even entered a women's composer competition, and she won first place. She was known to often do solos at her church, and she was just very talented when it came to music. Sarah was also a very happy child. It was well known that she loved the holidays, especially Christmas. Her parents said that she would wake up super early on Christmas morning and go wake up all of her siblings, and she couldn't contain her excitement to the point where she would grab her stockings and then go and jump in her parents' bed to open everything. But as Sarah started getting older, she started hitting a more rebellious streak. When she turned 14, she started staying out late, sneaking out. Like, she was just being kind of a rebellious teenager, and things seemed to get worse when she met 18-year-old Curtis Wayne Bell, and I don't have a picture of him. I'm sorry about that. Sarah's parents obviously did not approve of this relationship. They did not like Curtis, which is understandable because he was 18 and she was 14. Just the age difference that Sarah's parents didn't agree with. Curtis was also known to be a really not a great dude. He was very involved in drugs, and even Sarah's older brother, he was in jail for unknown reasons, and even he said that the inmates had told him that Curtis was not a good person and his younger sister should. But this did not stop Sarah. In fact, this would lead to a lot of arguments in the home, and even one night Sarah started packing up all of her stuff, and she told her parents that one day she would be gone. On May 1st of 2001, Sarah went to school early that morning. Her dad dropped her off around 7:20. They wanted to go early because Sarah had plans to meet with some of her friends. Sarah's dad left and then went about his day.
It wasn't until later when Sarah didn't return home from school, and then the school eventually calling saying that Sarah had never been at school, that her parents got worried. They started questioning her friends and asking all of them where Sarah was. None of them knew where she had gone because they had plans that day to skip school and go to a local cemetery, but Sarah had never shown up, according to her friends. It was after this that Sarah's family decided to report her missing, and at first she was considered a runaway, and her parents agreed that she probably ran away. And it wasn't until all of the friends agreed to take a polygraph test and all of them failed that things started to get strange. Now, polygraph tests are not that reliable, but still it is worth noting. That's when police brought in dogs, and the dogs did track Sarah's scent for 2 blocks, but then it disappeared, so they believe that Sarah got into a vehicle. We'll get into more in part 2. Give me a couple minutes to get it up. It'll be down in the comments.
What is the craziest thing that someone's confessed to on their deathbed? Well, a deathbed confession made this year solved a 20-year-old cold case. And this is coming from the Heart Starts Pounding podcast episode that's all about cold cases that were solved this year. So this year in West Virginia, a man named Larry Webb was dying. And before he died, he called a nurse over and said he needed to get it off his chest that he killed a woman and her daughter back in 2000. It turns out that back then, a woman named Susan Carter and her 10-year-old daughter Alex were living with Larry while Susan was in a custody battle with Alex's father. And one day they just disappeared, but because they were together when they disappeared, police assumed that Susan just ran away with her daughter. But Larry confirmed that that's not what happened. The story he gave on his deathbed is that one day he came home to see that Susan was stealing money from him, and so he shot her. And then panicking, he wanted to get rid of all the witnesses, and that included Alex, her daughter. And to me, the craziest thing in all of this is that Larry had really bad dementia, so when he gave this confession, they weren't really convinced that it was true. But the day after he died, both of their remains were found in his backyard. If you want to hear more on that story and other cold cases that were solved this year, check out the Cold Cases That Were Solved This Year episode of the Heart Starts Pounding podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
It goes to show you, man, people in their last moments, that's when they want to get the truth off their chest, man. Something about their last moments, man. They just want to go, I guess, into wherever they're about to go, into with peace of mind, but the damage is done. Wonder how many other people, man, who are still holding in their secrets. You know what that is. All day, every day.
What is one true crime case that you just can't stop thinking about? I always wonder what really happened to 6-year-old Catherine Korzelius. On August 7th, 1996, Catherine, along with her mom Nancy and her brother Chris, were out running errands. Catherine's dad was Paul Korzelius, who at the time was the tour manager for John Bon Jovi. That day was Paul's birthday, so they were all out looking for a present for him. They all lived on Elder Circle, which is a small neighborhood near Austin, Texas. When they got back to Elder Circle, Catherine wanted to pick up the mail from the community mailbox and then walk home. The mailboxes were only about 1/8 of a mile from their home, and Catherine had done this a few times before, so her mom let her. Catherine would take the shorter route home, while her mom and brother would take the longer route around Elder Circle. This way, they would be getting home at almost the same time. But once Nancy and Chris got home, with still no sign of Catherine, Nancy sent Chris to go and look for her. But when Chris couldn't find her, Nancy started searching for her by car. Within minutes, they found her laying in the middle of the road on Elder Circle. She was unconscious, but still breathing. According to Nancy, she didn't want to make her daughter lay on the hot pavement, so she picked her up and took her to the hospital. Little Catherine suffered from a fractured skull and never regained consciousness, and sadly, she died later that day. Authorities initially thought that Catherine was a victim of a hit and run, but certain things didn't add up. Where Catherine's body was found was in an unusual spot. Her mom last saw her walking towards their house, but her body was found a little over a mile away from their home in the opposite direction that she was supposed to have gone. Catherine's body was actually found along the route that her mom and brother took to get home, and the autopsy only deepened the mystery. The autopsy showed that Catherine didn't die from a hit and run. Along with her head injury, she also had abrasions on her left shoulder, lower back, right hip, and her knees. The ME found that Catherine had either jumped, fallen, or was thrown from a moving vehicle. One theory investigators came up with was that Catherine maybe tried to hold on to the back of her mom's car on the drive home, but fell off. This would explain the location of where her body was found. But her family did not believe this, so they hired a PI. The PI noted that it was a really hot summer day, and at the time, Catherine's left thumb was broken and in a splint, so it would have been really difficult for her to hold on to anything. And it's likely her mom would have seen her in the rearview mirror. Catherine's family believes she was abducted and murdered. After her death, investigators brought in a canine unit that tracked her scent to a vacant lot 30 yards from the mailboxes, but it was lost after that. This sparked a theory that Catherine was approached by an attacker at the mailboxes, ran into the lot, was caught and thrown into a car, struck in the head, and then was thrown out of the vehicle where she was found. Nancy also stated that it appeared her daughter's body was laid out for her to find. Her hair was smoothed down, her clothes were straight, and her sandals were still on. Unfortunately, there's never been any answers in this case, and it's still labeled a suspicious death. John Bon Jovi wrote a song dedicated to Catherine called August 7, 415. And sadly, in March of 2020, Catherine's brother Chris, who grew up to be a police officer, was tragically killed in a car accident.
Man, it's a mysterious case. It used to be solved.
Hello, true crimers. It's time for another episode of Coldest Cases by State. Today, South Dakota. Brr. So, this is the kind of strange case of Arnold Archambault and Ruby Bruguier. They were actually part of the Yankton Sioux tribe. They were a happy couple and they had just recently had a baby. And then a tragedy happened on December 11th, 1992. So, the two of them had joined Ruby's cousin, Tracy Dion, for a night of partying. Around 6 a.m. on December 12th, they would come home after the night of partying. But because they were still intoxicated, the babysitter, who was actually Tracy's father, said, "Can you please just come back later?" So they got back in the car. Arnold was driving the car. And just a few short minutes after they left the house, they would get involved in a car accident. The car had overturned. This is not the exact car, by the way. The witness would say that Arnold swerved because the road was icy, and then they flipped into this ditch. So this is when it gets kind of strange. Allegedly, Arnold is able to get out of the car and he fled. Ruby then escapes the car and she flees. Neither of them apparently help Tracy. When paramedics arrived to the accident, they were able to save Tracy. She was honest. She said, "We've been drinking. I have no idea where my friends went." Police would only speculate that because of DWI laws that maybe they fled because they were scared of being arrested. Their families, however, would say no, they wouldn't do that, especially not to their baby. They searched the woods, and they never found this couple. They literally just poofed into thin air. And they conducted these searches for months. They should have been somewhere in the area. This is a still image pulled from Unsolved Mysteries, where this case actually aired. The OG Unsolved Mysteries. So this isn't the real scene. But in March of 1993, about 3 months later, in the ditch just 75 feet away from where the car accident happened, was the decomposed body of Ruby Bruguier. The ditch had water in it, so the next day they pumped out the water, and in that same area they found the decomposed body of Arnold Archambault. It was only like 15-20 feet away from where Ruby was. You know what's stranger? He wasn't as badly decomposed as Ruby was. They also found a tuft of Ruby's hair at the crime scene, which is very odd. The autopsy would show they died of exposure. A witness said they saw Ruby and Arnold at a New Year's Eve party 3 weeks after the accident. That witness took a polygraph and passed. Police say foul play wasn't involved. Were they murdered? How come they were in the same spot as the car accident, months later? This one is so weird, right?
Yeah.
Man on death row, and his story will make you cry. In 1936, a 23-year-old man was arrested for sleeping in an illegal area. But Joe was a mentally disabled homeless man, and he really didn't know what was going on. So he went with the officers anyway. But what Joe didn't know is that those officers are about to change his life forever. 12 days earlier, 2 twin girls were actually murdered by a guy with a hatchet. And since the officers had no idea who it was, they decided to pin the attack on Joe. And since Joe was mentally challenged, they made him confess to the crimes without actually knowing what he did. And the victims even said that Joe looked nothing like the man. But Joe ended up taking the fall for the crime that he didn't even commit. But on death row, Joe was extremely happy, and every single person in there loved him. And right here you can see him giving away his trains right before he was executed. Joe requested ice cream for his last meal, and his last words were, "No, Joe will not die."
That is messed up, man. I wonder how many cases throughout history, man, somebody had to just take the fall because law enforcement, something like that, they couldn't do their job, so they just pinned it on him. That's a messed up story, Seekers.
Crazy facts about cigarettes. 1 cigarette can reduce your lifespan up to 11 minutes. Out of 10 smokers, 9 started before age 18. A smoker's life expectancy is 10 years less than a non-smoker. When a cigarette is burned, 7,000 chemicals are activated. Nauru has the highest smoking rate at 52%.
If you see this in the ocean, walk away immediately. This is a whirlpool in the ocean, and they are one of the most scariest things that can happen in the ocean. Whirlpools are basically like inverse tornadoes, and they will suck you up in less than 17 seconds. Why do they happen? Well, whirlpools form when the currents of the ocean collide in opposite directions. The force of the two currents spiral down into the ocean, which forms the whirlpool. Here is a demonstration of what happens inside a whirlpool. As you can see, the toilet paper is rapidly pulled into the water from the whirlpool. If you're in a boat in the ocean and you see a large-scale whirlpool, it could pull your boat in and flip it over, and you will be pulled under the water where you will be stuck and likely drown. Although we think of whirlpools mostly being in the ocean, they can appear in any body of water. So next time you're out in water, be on the lookout for one of these, or it could cost you your life.
Okay. Updating our whirlpool knowledge.
Did you know that they might have just found one of the gates to hell? This is the deepest man-made hole on the planet. It goes 7.5 miles down, and it took 19 years to dig. And many strange things have been discovered during the dig. But the craziest thing was when they lowered a microphone down the hole, and they caught this on audio. Many people think the hole penetrated one of the gates to hell, and that's what allowed the screams of the dead to be heard. And what's super interesting about this video is so many people who have visions of hell say that they get taken into...
The Odds of Dying, Part 1. By number of people. Dog attack 1 in 86,781. Drowning 1 in 1,128. Falling over 1 in 106. Preventable causes of death 1 in 24. Cancer 1 in 7.
Man. That story about that hole, bro. We gotta be careful, man. It seems like it was deliberate. Like, why did they keep going deeper and deeper, man? We heard the audio too, so we just can't dismiss it. Something going on down there.
Creepiest urban legend from each country. Canada. Wendigo.
Oh.
England. Bloody Mary.
Did you know
That
that
makes
Cardi
sense.
B said that her music activates demons? Watch this.
I didn't want to do this song, Shake It, or like any drill song, because it's like these songs are activating like these demons.
If you believe Jesus is more powerful than the devil, then type Jesus is Lord in the comments and subscribe for more. And watch the video that I pinned about Billie Eilish showing her demon.
Hey man, we've been watching these clips together for a minute, so we know that some things be going down in the music industry, and this, I guess, that Hollywood side entertainment, man. So we know some things be going on, but she said it, bro. That they activating demons. I'm telling you, man, we gotta be careful what we listening to, seekers. We never know what type of energy we allowing into our lives. That don't even shock me no more, man.
What's no humans can do? I'm not sure, and if you can, then you're bloody weird. This is where you bend your thumb back onto your hand like that. Only 1% of humans can actually do this.
I can't do
Try
it.
this video if you can do it.
North Korea are actually doing it. Today, they have officially begun blowing up all roads and railways connecting them to South Korea. And this really marks a pretty substantial turning point, because for the longest time, reunification of the two countries has always been the stated goal for Kim Jong-un. But this year, everything changed. He changed the constitution to designate them as principal enemy. They obviously had their trash balloon wars. We saw that they started building a wall by the border, and now they're literally blowing up all inter-Korean roads and railways to completely separate the two countries.
Gruesome facts you didn't know.
That's insane.
In the year 2000, the Trapholt Museum in Denmark featured an art piece titled Helena and El Pescador. The art piece featured 10 functional blenders filled with goldfish, giving the visitors the gruesome option of turning them on. It was a battle of the viewer's own conscience, and at least one man turned on a blender, killing 2 of the fish. In 2007, a movie theater in the US accidentally screened The Hills Have Eyes 2 instead of The Last Mimsy. The opening scene horrifically shows a naked chained-up woman giving birth to a deformed baby. Children were traumatized and parents were offered free tickets as compensation. The Aldgate Pump in London was a long-time public watering hole that tapped into London's underground streams since the 1200s. In 1860, the water was noted as being bright, sparkling, and with a fine taste. Turned out that the taste was due to the underground stream running through several graveyards. The water had been collecting decaying organic matter and calcium from the bones of the dead. This resulted in the deaths of hundreds of people.
That score about the theaters playing that
3
scary
animals
movie.
you are glad are extinct,
Crazy.
and the last one, it will shock you. Number 1, the Titanoba. This massive snake gets up to 50 feet long and can weigh up to 2,500 pounds. During its time, it was the apex predator, and it would strangle every single one of the animals to death. Number 2, the Deinosuchus. This mega crocodile can weigh up to 10,000 pounds, and it can get up to 39 feet long. T-Rex bones were found with bite marks from this animal, meaning often they would battle it out. But before I tell you the most terrifying one, if you want to get paid just for walking, I got you. Because this app pays you for every step you take, and I've already earned 100 today. So press right here and start earning. Number 3 is the Ratzilla. Based on the fossils that were found, they could get up to 10 feet long, and some of them were about the size of a bowl. And their teeth were up to 1 foot long. Can you imagine if one of these suckers bit you? Thankfully, all these animals went extinct a long time ago, but they're all super terrifying, so I'm happy.
Be thankful, man, for evolution sometimes, because those animals.
Fun fact. In 2015, the US federal government seized around $5 billion in assets from citizens, and in that same year, criminals only stole around $3.5 billion in assets. The US federal government also seized more assets in 2014 and 2019 than criminals stole. This is due to the Civil Asset Forfeiture Reform Act, which was meant to break up the flow of cash and assets to drug cartels, but has essentially given the police a license to steal. It says if the police believe assets in your possession, whether it be cash, real estate, cars, or an iPad, was involved in or was acquired through criminal activity, they have the right to seize it, and then you need to prove to them that you got it legally. The craziest part is they don't even have to charge you with a crime to take your stuff. In 2021, a drug-sniffing dog at a Dallas airport found $100,000 in cash in a woman's suitcase, and the police seized the cash, but didn't charge the woman with any crime, saying she could get it back in court. But this was a rare case. Most cash seizures are under $1,000, but the cost to fight a seizure in court is usually much higher.
Man, so they just run it around. Like, imagine if you had, like, that money legally, you take it out the bank, but, like, they took it anyway, then you have to prove to them in court. That's crazy, man, how they freaking took away all that damn money, bro. Billions of dollars, man. The system, man. It's up. It's a ongoing battle. That's an edit, man. Call them out like we see them. I see you guys calling out the edits in the comments down below too. I appreciate that as well. We're getting better at spotting them out each and every single video. I feel like we're at the expert level.
This is a threat to national security. This otter's a fugitive of the law for the crime of boardjacking surfers in the ocean and then using them as chew toys. See, you're laughing. You're laughing now, because I said otters and you think it's cute, but imagine getting pressed by a predatory plush toy with a vice grip for a mouth. And how do we even get here? With everything I've said, sea otters are naturally afraid of people who go out of their way to avoid us. So the story goes, an otter named 723 was found abandoned and orphaned, but was rescued, rehabilitated, and released back into the wild. Here's the problem, though. Pretty privileged. As in, people kept feeding 723 repeatedly to the point where the same otter that should have been people shy was now going up to people looking for handouts. Eventually 723 was recaptured, and this time they found that people weren't the only ones interested in her, because she was pregnant and she would give birth to daughter 841. But this time the caretakers learned, basically dressing like they just raided Darth Vader's closet, poncho masks and all. Also, 841 wouldn't lose her fear of humans. It didn't work. Literally less than a year after being released, there were reports of an otter going up to surfers and climbing on surfboards. That's right, it was someone's disobedient ass daughter. And 841 would attack surfboards like they owed her money. Like, you see that bite? That's a bite of malice. Remember, this is the same animal that can bite through a clam. 841 was a menace in 2023, but eventually the surfboard assault stopped until she popped out again this year, this time with a hellspawn of her own. Yep, she has a kid, meaning this surfboard beef's guaranteed another generation. Especially since there have been several attempts to capture her, but there's nothing about an outlaw otter that's easy. She's on the run and swim. But yeah, when people tell you not to feed wild animals, this is exactly why. I swear y'all play house with a wild animal, but then be Pikachu in the face when they start wilding. Also, and I'm telling y'all right now, she bites one person, she's getting put on her shirt expeditiously. Moral of the story, the worst thing a wild animal can do is lose its fear of humans. That in Santa Cruz is harboring a weapon of otter destruction.
You have to
That's
hear
crazy,
this.
man. Otter attack.
Who lives inside of a cemetery actually saw the Grim Reaper. He said that he was in his house watching TV at about 3 o'clock in the morning when he heard a huge crash outside.
Oh my gosh.
Soon after he heard sirens. And
Yeah, I decided to step out and see what was happening. I walked through the graveyard like a dumbass.
Cars,
Damn it, man.
firefighters, and an ambulance arriving. He walked through the
I wish he
cemetery
would attack me
to
in
get a
this
better
shit.
view of what was going on. As he looked down from the top of the hill, he saw that it was a horrific car accident, a head-on collision between two cars, during which one of the drivers actually died at the scene.
You got it closer to exactly what I said to the other guy, but you left out the part where I scared the cop.
But then, all of a sudden,
And when I jumped in bed with Amber,
pulled
pulled the covers up over my head.
to see what it was. And standing right in front of him was a strange, gray, faceless, humanoid figure. His heart jumped up into his throat and he abruptly beelined it back home. He continued to hear this creature behind him, but he never
sort of
looked back.
dumbass.
He got home and immediately locked the doors.
What would you do in this situation?
Is the Grim
so
Reaper
this
real?
person was in a hotel room one night with their door locked, keep in mind. And this random person was trying to break into their room using this tool that is specifically designed to break into people's rooms. And this is why you should always put a towel on your door handle. I promise you, it could save your life. Here's the video.
Reason why I don't use
I gotta try to find it.
restroom.
No public bathrooms could be hiding a deadly secret in plain sight. Recently, investigators in California discovered a shocking trend. People getting seriously ill or worse after using public restroom toilet paper. The reason drug users are reportedly going into these bathrooms, using needles and then cleaning them off by sticking them into the sides of the toilet paper rolls. This contaminates the toilet paper with blood, drug residue, and other harmful substances, all hidden from view when unsuspecting people grab the toilet paper. They're unknowingly exposed to the dangerous contaminants. As the puncture marks are often concealed by the toilet paper casing, specialists now recommend using toilet seat covers instead of the provided toilet paper in public restrooms for safety. The punctures are subtle often on the side, making them impossible to see at a glance. It's a hidden hazard no one expects.
Top 5 of the scary.
That has to be one of the most scariest things, man, that can happen. Like, imagine you just trying to use the bathroom and you come back home sick or something like that. You don't know what's going on because somebody stuck a needle in the side of the toilet paper. Man, now I'm buying toilet freaking covers after this video, bro. So what I bought, I'm ready, man. That ain't happening to me. Be careful out there.
I bet you can't make it to the end of the video. The last one is scary. Number 5. 3 friends were playing guitar and singing in their room. You know, just having a good time. When something scary appears in the balcony door window. You can see a white figure appear quickly and disappear once the camera pans back.
What do you say?
Woo! Spicy. Hey, maybe you just like the music. Wanted to do a little dance. Get a little boogie. Get it? Boogie, boo. Please don't unfollow me. Before we get to the next one, can you hit that like button for me? If you get 100,000 hearts, I'll do a part 3. Number 4. A man wakes up to hearing strange noises in his house. When he goes to turn on the lights to see what it is, they seem to not be working. Watch what he sees next.
What the?
Tired of these ghosts messing with electricity when they do not pay bills. Do you know how
Speak
much
about
an
it.
electric bill is right now? Pay up or get out. Okay, check this out. You're alone in the middle of the night, and you're in a hotel when this happens.
What the hell is that? Somebody trying to come in the damn room?
What's your next move? Let me know down below. Number 3, on the 30th of April 2022 at 2 a.m., a security camera captured this. Some believe it's a creature dragging a bag, while others believe it's someone walking backwards. A short while after, the security camera catches this. It's the same figure. What do you think this creature is? Number 2, the little girl is in the kitchen alone, and it looks like she's talking to someone. The home security camera captures this.
It's like fighting or something?
So now they're not paying bills and trying to take our food? This is the last straw. Hello, Ghostbusters. A woman and her child
Call
are
'em up.
seeing something in the window, but every time she goes to open it, nothing appears to be there. Watch what happens next.
The
Yeah, it got in the house, and they didn't even realize. Should I do a part 3?
They didn't see, that person didn't feel that freaking like thing behind them. I don't know, the last one got me questioning it. It was cap or real. Cause I can feel when somebody's like behind me. I don't even feel somebody's presence.
On the wall where he had just covered up.
Okay, he covered up the wall.
Scariest mythical creatures in the world. From Japan. Tick tick.
Tick tick.
From Puerto Rico. Chupacabra.
Chupacabra. I thought they originated from here.
From the ocean.
Mermaid.
CTHULU.
I don't know how to pronounce the name, but I've been seeing a couple of videos on that.
From Arizona. Skinwalker.
You know, you've seen a couple of Skinwalker clips.
From the ocean. Mermaid.
I called it. I knew that had to be on one of them, man.
From Canada. Wendigo.
Interesting.
The name of the game is The Other Mother. You should win this game, no one will ever lie to you again. At least they can't. Play this game, go in front of your mirror with a lit candle. On the mirror, Other Mother. After doing this, cover your eyes, do not look in the mirror, because now you summon the Other Mother, also known as Mother May I. We'll ask you to do 5 things, but before you do it, make sure you say Mother May I. She'll comb your hair. She'll ask you to brush your teeth. She'll then tell you to have dinner with her. And then she'll tell you to go to bed. Whenever she asks you to do any of these, make sure you say Mother May I before you do it. So I go live and play this game, heart this video, follow my account.
I never played any of those games. You ain't getting me.
Everyone
Keep
is
that away
going
from me.
crazy after people communicate in a dream for the first time ever.
What?
A company called REM Space has designed this technology to allow you to communicate during a dream. Now, 2 people were both put into a lucid dream by scientists, and they were able to communicate fully inside this dream. But how? So both of the people were in bed at their own homes, and they were both synced up to this crazy tech this company has. Now, when one of them went to sleep and entered the lucid dream, the computer generated a word and then put the other person into a lucid dream. They both then woke up, they confirmed the same word, of course, meaning that the first person had communicated that word to the other person because there's no other way they would have known it, showing, of course, that you can communicate during a dream. Now, of course, this is only early days with this technology, but the fact that this was possible is crazy. And the people who developed it said this is going to open a whole new gateway of businesses and companies who will be able to sell things for the dream world, probably including games, multiplayer games and stuff. Like, honestly, it's mental. We're one step closer. This is going to get a lot crazier. I'll keep you updated.
This film might have one
I don't
of the
think
most
that's a good idea.
batshit crazy endings you'll see throughout the entire year. What? So I'm fresh out of Smile 2, one of the most highly anticipated sequels of the entire year, and I'm gonna let you in on a secret. I'm not the biggest fan of Smile 1. You got me. I liked it conceptually, you know, with the whole crazy smiling demon, but it was a little too heavily reliant on jump scares like the 2018 Cavs roster with LeBron. The original nearly made my heart explode. So when I came to this, I was very cautious, and I'm happy to say I think it's better than the first for me. I think I've fallen in love with the concept of having these horror movies be in concerts and having these fake pop stars make original songs, because I'm eating that shit up. I got the Sky Riley EP playing in my car on the way home. It makes for such intriguing circumstances we can put our characters through, especially since our main character is a pop star. She has the whole public eye viewing her constantly, and this demon is messing with her head, so she's seeing smiles constantly. It's perfect. Now, if there's one thing that these films entail, you're going to get a stellar lead performance. Naomi Scott, I've been with you since Lemonade Mouth. I knew you were a superstar then.
That's an
You are
OG.
a superstar now. No exaggeration, Naomi Scott is brilliant in this film. Like, oh my god. The way we just watch her mentally deteriorate and become literally insane because of this smiling demon, like, I was just in awe. As far as the scares, it's just like its predecessor. Prepare your heart. You're going to hear a lot of like it's going to get that's on me. I should have done that. That's on me. But you get my point. There were times where I was actively praying, please stop doing the same set piece over and over with someone going into a room. It gets really silent, and then you just hear a loud jolt of noise. Like, we could do better, and they do. There are points where there's really cool body horror, Lovecraftian horror, psychological, mental gymnastics going on. Like, it was cool stuff when they did that. And I think that same sentiment applies to the original, where the last 15 minutes is probably the best part of the film, because it is so insane, bonkers stuff. And when it does that stuff in this one, it's just great. Since I did mention psychological horror, I should explain that this film plays a lot more tricks on the main character's mind than the first one. There's times where you have no clue what is real, and it might be a dream sequence or something, and that can be a bit of a cop-out, especially when you get to the second half of this film, but I'll allow it, mainly due to the fact that the ending of this film is insane. Like, I leaned forward in my seat when I watched that on the screen. I was like, okay, I rate it. I should say, I don't know if they use this concept to its fullest potential as far as this pop star that has so many eyes on her, right? And she has this curse, and I felt like we could have gotten even more creative with the scares rather than just going in these dark, empty rooms of her house and getting jump scared. We could have, like, used more social media. She has so many eyes on her. I'm just really anti-jump scare. Like, you're gonna make my heart palpitate. I'm blaming you. It's fun though. I enjoy it. I think if you're a fan of the first, you're probably gonna love this one. And Naomi Scott, OG since Lemonade Mouth. I love you.
This is how people.
Shout out Brandy in the comments down below. She said she watched I think the first one. She said it was really good, but you guys know I don't really watch scary movies like that. But from what I'm hearing, people saying it was a good movie.
Thought our world would be 100 years ago. Okay, firstly, people 100 years ago predicted that we would have roofs over our cities to help protect us from weather. And talking about weather, they also thought that we would have weather control machines that would push the storm clouds away. This isn't a bad idea, but wouldn't the storm clouds just go into another city? Next, this is bizarre. People really thought we would be fishing from the other way around. Now, this would be pretty cool. By 2021, people predicted that we would have space elevators that would make space travel cheap and easy. Moving on, instead of car taxis, people 100 years ago thought we would have flying taxis that would help us get to our destinations. If that wasn't wild enough, they thought we would be walking on water with help from our own individual air balloons. Finally, people thought in today's time that we would be able to transport almost whole cities just by using trains.
I mean, they nailed some of the stuff, but some of the stuff they was
This
nailing.
is a true horrifying story.
Was that it?
The birth of Satan, Iblis. In other sacred texts, he's known as Lucifer. Non-Muslims refer to him as a fallen angel, but Muslims believe that he was never an angel. Angels are made from nur. Iblis was made from fire. Therefore, he is a jinn. He is the biggest jinn, the strongest jinn. And God had so much love for Iblis that he lifted him and he was valued amongst the angels. And then Adam was created, the first human being. Iblis was jealous. God ordered all beings to do sajda for Adam. Out of all beings, Iblis was the only one that refused. And he said, I was made from fire. This being was made from dirt. I will prove to you that Bani Adam is not the righteous being. Adam, Eve, Iblis, and the angels all lived in paradise. Everyone was banned to eat fruit from a specific tree. Iblis manipulated Adam and Eve and they ate from that tree. They had to face consequences, so they were all kicked out of heaven. And that is why people called Iblis a fallen angel. He was never an angel. Iblis asked God if he can have an eternal life, so he can prove that humans are sinners. And that's his task. This is what he lives by. This is the birth of Satan. He gathered the shaitans, and now he has an army. He is the leader of all demons, and he will be the only being on earth that dies last. Iblis today sits on a throne. Nobody knows where he's located. However, in an authentic hadith sahih, the Prophet said that his throne is on water. So we don't know where, but we do know that he's somewhere far in the ocean. There's a short story of a French Arab woman that was possessed by a very powerful jinn for many years. The toughest sheikhs carried exorcisms to treat this woman. But before they kicked the demon out, the sheikhs wanted to ask a few questions. They asked the jinn, "Where is Iblis located?" Without a hesitation, the jinn responds, "We visit Iblis in the waters of the Bermuda Triangle." Some scientists have said, but still did not prove, that the Bermuda Triangle has a magnetic field that caused all these ships and planes to disappear. Now that's just a theory. Now legitimately speaking, a demon has spoken, and he exposed the location of where his leader possibly stays. But could it be Iblis? It is far beyond a question mark. It is in fact a section in the ocean that will kill you if entered.
Stay away from the Bermuda Triangle, man. I remember Mr. Beast did a video surviving there. I don't know how the heck he did that. Brave soul. Dressing up as a clown? Pennywise? What the fuck? I think a little too accurate, bro. And you can't walk.
If you're home alone right now, skip this video. An 8-year-old girl bravely fought off a terrifying intruder who entered her home in the middle of the night wearing a clown mask. On the 15th of October, a scene unfolded in a small town like that from a horror film. At around 1:30 a.m., a man broke into a child's bedroom in Colorado. Police described the incident as an attempted child abduction, with the man entering the room in a dark hoodie and a cloth clown mask. Terrifyingly, the little girl was blindfolded and snatched off her bed as the man tried to take her from her bedroom. She was subject to quite a brutal attack by the intruder and bravely fought him off until he hit her over the head and knocked her out. Fortunately, it seems that he was spooked in the process of this and fled the scene. Now, it apparently took police over an hour to get to the incident at the property, but they did manage to gather vital evidence and then track the intruder down. They revealed his identity as 56-year-old Thomas Gallegos. They were able to arrest him and charge him with multiple serious offences such as burglary, assault, kidnapping and child abuse. The little girl did sustain cuts and bruises and was obviously traumatised by the attack, but fortunately did live to tell the tale.
This is how rare your body actually is. Starting off, only 5% of people have tied tongues, so if you have this, you're pretty rare. Basically, this is where your tongue is tied to the bottom of your mouth, impacting your speech and eating. Next up is Morton's toe, and if you have this, you're probably pretty rare. Only 10% of the population has this, and this is where your index toe is bigger than your big toe. Okay, this next one is crazy. 1% of people actually have unbreakable bones. This is a genetic mutation which causes people's bones to be more dense than the average human. And one person who had this condition actually walked away from a car crash unharmed. Next, about 50% of people can fit their hand in their mouth. Sounds a bit high, so if you actually can, let me know. If you can tickle yourself, you're in the rare 7% of the population that can do this. About 10% of people suffer from eczema, which is a skin rash and is so annoying. And finally, we have the 16% of people that can make a roaring noise in their head by clenching their jaw.
If any of your secrets, man, can you guys do any of those unique things, man? I think I have the tied tongue, but I can't fit my whole fist in my mouth. I know I can't do that. I don't even need to try to do that, bro. And the unbreakable bones. I saw actually somebody comment down, a fellow seeker said how like the unbreakable bone story was kind of not true. So, like I said, to each their own. Everybody got to do their own research, but that's crazy.
Crazy part is, most people believe that these three things will actually save your life. They don't. Let's pretend you're lost in the desert and you need water, and you don't have any. So where are some places you can get water? One commonly held terrible piece of advice is to drink your own pee, because it's mostly made up of water, except there's 5% of that that's all made up of just waste from your body, and even though the urine might keep you alive a little bit longer, you'll ultimately die of kidney failure. So you don't drink your own pee. Instead, you head over to some cactus you see nearby because you remember reading or hearing in school that you can drink the water inside of cactus. Except, unless it's one really specific kind of cactus, you'll be drinking lots of alkaloids and chemicals that will make you viciously ill, and you'll start vomiting and you'll have diarrhea and you'll die from dehydration much faster. So as you're sitting there wondering what you're going to do next, a venomous snake bites you. And so you instinctively start sucking on the bite to remove the poison, but you can't because it goes right in your bloodstream, and all you'll do is die much faster from infection.
Man, those three things, he just proved us wrong.
This picture from inside the basement of Fun Zone, and I'm going to get into some of the backstory about what it is that we're actually looking at here. But what I can tell you is that when I did see it, my heart sunk. For some backstory, if you don't know what Fun Zone is, this is kind of a relic of the late 90s, early 2000s. It had lots of iterations over the years, but it was effectively like an indoor amusement park or arcade. It used to be like a really fun place to be. It had a handful of carnival rides, indoor roller coasters, all the works. So Fun Zone eventually did close down, and they boarded up the doors. I guess the problem was that didn't stop people from breaking in. One of the curious things about this location was that they didn't sell off any of the equipment that was inside. It just kind of remained in place. Eventually, upon one of the break-ins where somebody went in, they made their way to the basement where they found an abandoned cell phone, and that is where we get this picture. Nobody really knows who took the photo or what really happened to them, but if you look a bit closer to the background, you will see the same thing that I do. You can see it if I make the photo brighter. Whoever was exploring Fun Zone, they came face to face with a person in that basement. Don't forget, if scary stories like this are of interest to you, make sure to go check them out right on the podcast.
We're always told to drink a lot of water throughout the day, but have you ever wondered what happens when you drink too much water? Well, 35-year-old Ashley Summers drank 64 ounces of water in a span of 20 minutes and passed away from water toxicity. Ashley, her husband, and 2 daughters were at Lake Freeman in Indiana when she began feeling dehydrated. So she drank 4 bottles of water because for some reason she wasn't able to quench her thirst. Ashley complained about having a horrible headache and she began to feel lightheaded. When she got home with her family, she passed out in the garage and she was taken to the hospital where the doctor said she had brain swelling. Ashley never woke up and she was pronounced dead from water toxicity. A toxicologist said that this is more likely to happen to someone who's extremely dehydrated, which will cause them to drink too much water and not enough sodium or electrolytes. So remember, bring more than just water on really hot days, especially if you're under the sun for a long period of time.
Here's why you might not want to visit your mom on her birthday. A man was stuck in traffic while driving home after visiting his mother for her birthday. The man was so frustrated that when the GPS told him to take a detour, he went right away, which might have been a mistake. His gas light then came on, so he decided to pull into this super bear in town to fill up his tank. So the man went in, pumped his gas, and when he went to pay, the clerk was super weird. He didn't acknowledge him and just gave him a creepy smile. The man then went outside and saw a woman just standing in the middle of the road and said, "Are you okay?" And the woman looked at him and said, "Ah, yes, we are happy here." The man was like, "What?" and just drove out of there. Till a cop pulled him over and said, "Sir, you can't drive. Driving's illegal here." The man had had enough and literally just went pedal to the metal and zoomed out of there. When he got home, he was just so confused. The people looked real but didn't act human. He tried to research it but decided, next year I'm just sending my mom a card.
Yeah, the Fast and Furious out of there, bro. I did the same thing too. People are acting weird, very weird.
Weird Nature Facts, Part 37. In proportion to body weight, koalas have one of the smallest brains of any mammal. They're so dumb that when presented with leaves on a flat surface instead of on branches, they are unable to recognize them as food and will not eat them. Dogs get sprayed by skunks so often because skunks raise their tails as a warning. Dogs see this as "come smell my butt," which is the exact opposite message of what the skunk is trying to send. In Germany, it is illegal to kill any vertebrate animal without proper reason. Because of this, all German animal shelters are no-kill. In the 1980s, Ken the orangutan escaped from his enclosure at the San Diego Zoo multiple times. His apparent goals were visiting other animals, taking photos with tourists, and throwing rocks at his orangutan rival.
Wow,
Here
really?
are some disturbing facts about Disney. Many scenes in Toy Story are inspired by the horror movie The Shining. The voice actor that did Lilo in Lilo and Stitch also played the ghost girl in The Ring. The Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland feature real human skeletons. Also at Disneyland, there are vents that pump out artificial smells to keep you happy. After the release of Princess and the Frog, over 50 kids went to hospital for salmonella. They tried to kiss a frog. Do you know any other creepy things about Disney? Leave a comment.
Here's some of
I think the thing that got to me the most is that he pumping out like a smoke out of a vent to keep you happy at Disney. What the heck? What they got going on with Disney, bro? And the more you know, I heard some creepy facts about Disney, but that's definitely a new one I heard today, Seekers.
The creepiest videos on the internet, part 10. The popular American rapper XXXTentacion was murdered on June 18th, 2018, and his death broke the hearts of many.
R.I.P.
Many people visited his memorial to leave gifts, but some people captured much more. The YouTube channel The Fam recorded a video trying to communicate with this beloved rapper, but accidentally captured this. But someone else got a lot more than this. The YouTube channel Selva the Explorer got to speak with him through her spirit box. Here's some things he had to say.
What is your favorite song you've ever recorded? What's the name of your favorite song? Are you in the Wi-Fi? Is there anything else you want to tell us?
Is this legit? They were speaking to his ghost?
Yeah, I don't know if this is the most disturbing, but this is definitely top 5. This is Malgas Island, and up to 60,000 of these birds called Cape Gannets will nest here. But don't worry, I'm gonna get to it. So normally these parents take turns, with one going out for food with the other staying behind to guard the chick. But because of overfishing, oftentimes both parents will go out for food, leaving the chick all alone on the island. Which wouldn't be a problem if they didn't know that. Because groups of these white pelicans will fly over to the islands and then walk around looking for any unsupervised gannet chicks, so that they can grab the baby birds and eat them alive while they're still struggling. And sometimes they'll just push the parents out the way and then swallow the newborn children right in front of them. It somehow gets worse. Those same pelicans will fly back to their nest and vomit the half-digested, recently murdered baby birds for the pelican chicks to eat. And because Cape Gannets have no real way to defend themselves, pelicans have no reason to stop. And since pelicans obviously don't have teeth, those chicks' last moments were spent suffocating while being digested alive by stomach acid, only to get regurgitated and eaten twice. Dinosaurs never went extinct. They just rebranded with feathers.
Black Air Force Energy. Confirmed. They need some menaces, bro.
This is proof that we aren't alone. Okay, so in Wyoming, there's a strange mountain in the middle of nowhere with ridges on it, and no one seems to know why. Now, most people say that this is because of erosion. However, there's a theory behind this mountain that will absolutely shock you.
Talk about
And
it.
as the theory says, the real reason as to why this mountain has ridges is not because of erosion, but because of a giant bear. The said bear is said to be named Mato and is about 60 feet tall, weighing over 10 tons. And this story even goes as far back as the Stone Age, with drawings of a gigantic bear attacking tribes on wall caves. However, this creature has not been seen since.
So this video went viral sometime last year when this woman and her kids, along with her friend and her friend's kids, went out to eat after a doctor's appointment. While they sat at this restaurant, this random man came out of nowhere and tried to grab one of their daughters and pull her out of the restaurant. The two mothers had a total of 6 kids with them, and they were all seated on this table, but in front of them were 2 other young kids who happened to be Snapchatting while this whole thing went down, and they caught this this crazy moment. When the mother realized that this man had grabbed her daughter, she stood up right away and said, "Oh hell no." And then he said, "I'm just playing," and he let go of the little girl. There is no way this man is just playing around. He intended to take that little girl, and he probably thought it was going to be easy because there's just 2 moms with 6 kids at this table.
Humanoid robots.
Yeah, nah, he was definitely on some weird crap, bro. Gonna say, try to play it off as a joke, man. These people are getting bold now, bro. Like, right in front of the parents, they just don't care no more. Did the right thing stand up? Nah, we had to run that feed, bro. No. Somebody had to drag me off that guy, man. And for, like, in front of the parents? How stupid could you be?
Are getting creepier by the day. A startup from Poland called Clone Robotics is on a mission to create some of the most human-like robots ever, even going as far as to use a musculoskeletal body using hydraulic tendon muscles covered in the stretchy skin-like fabric. And it's not just for show, because they claim that it is the strongest biomimetic hand in the world. Oh, and just like in the movies, their artificial muscles bleed if punctured. So yeah, things are getting serious now.
It's Terminator next step.
Part 4. Today, let's talk about the mysterious disappearance of Rebecca Corium. Rebecca Corium was a 24-year-old worker on the Disney Wonder cruise ship. On March 22nd, 2011, while working on the cruise ship, Rebecca disappeared without a trace. This is one of the last photos taken of her, and it was from CCTV footage. At 5:45 a.m. that morning, footage revealed Rebecca talking on the phone with someone. She seemed visibly distressed. Now here's where it gets twisted. Many people believe that Disney knows exactly what happened to Rebecca, but are trying to cover up this whole thing. Let me explain. For starters, the captain of the ship said that Rebecca was just washed over by a big wave. They then gave Rebecca's parents a sandal and said that this was hers and it was retrieved from the deck that she was last seen on. Number 1, the sandal wasn't her size. Number 2, it wasn't her style. It was also revealed that Disney had edited this CCTV footage. Check out part 2 on this case for more information.
They're just trying to save some money, man. That's not the first time a big company would do something like that. It's sad.
Did you know that they may have just exposed Satan's city? What's even more crazy is there's people living there right now and it's not hell. Whilst addressing a church in Revelation chapter 2 verse 13, Jesus exposes the city of Satan. Watch this. Jesus says, "I know where you live, a place where Satan sits enthroned." And he says that same place is where his faithful witness Antipas died. Saint Antipas was martyred by being burnt in a bronze bull in Geneva, Switzerland. Like, this literally happened under the rule and reign of Nero. And you're never gonna guess what's happening in Geneva, Switzerland right now. It's home to an organization called CERN, whose, logo just happens to be 666. And their goal in life is to develop a machine that can actually tear a hole between the natural and supernatural realm. And they just made a discovery of something called the God particle, but that's a video for another time. Subscribe now if you love Jesus.
What do we think about CERN, man? That's their headquarters,
This is the disturbing truth about Christmas. This is Black Peter, and he spends the whole year spying on kids, taking note on who has been good and who has been bad. Every single Christmas, Black Peter goes with Santa from house to house, and while Santa gives presents to the good kids, Black Peter punishes the bad ones, and this is what he does to them. First, he will leave you a bag of twigs and a pile of coal. But if you have been really bad, Black Peter will snatch you from your bed and throw you into a sack. He will then kidnap you and take you to his coal mine, where he will chain you up and make you his slave. You will then work for him for the rest of your life, and if Black Peter ever gets sick of you, he will just simply eat you. So if this doesn't motivate you to make the nice list, then I don't know what will.
Stay away from Black Peter, bro.
The silent man. In 2014, a 51-year-old man in the UK named David Hampson decided to stand in the middle of a busy road and block the traffic. The incident was then reported and police officers arrived at the scene to see what was going on. But when they tried to talk to David to get him to move, he wouldn't say a word and just stood there, so they arrested him. From his arrest to when he was brought to court, David still remained completely silent and wouldn't even talk to his lawyer. Although since no one knew his motives and he hadn't actually hurt anyone, David was let go soon afterwards. But all he did was just go back to that same street and stand there, silent, once again. And he committed this same crime over and over again for the next 7 years, never saying a word to anyone. Even though he was jailed multiple times, every time he was released, he would just go back to that same street and do the exact same thing. All the doctors who are trying to help David failed because he refused to speak to them. And it was reported that the only time anyone had ever heard him speak was when he was giving food and water, and he said thanks. Finally, in 2020, David was given 3.5 years in prison for his actions, and is still yet to speak to anyone on why he did it. Fourth one.
If you believe
That's
in
crazy.
God, stay away from Halloween. Muslims, Christians, or anyone who believes in God, Halloween is a pagan festival. It involves evil spirits, jinns, and shaitan. It is forbidden for Muslims and real Christians will know the truth. Please do not associate with it and stay away. Share this everywhere, spread awareness.
Alright guys, let's
That's
talk
true,
about
I remember
Krampus.
that.
Krampus comes from old German folklore. He's the opposite of Santa Claus and he punishes misbehaving children on Christmas. You might be asking, what does he do to punish these misbehaving children? He stuffs them in his bag and takes them back to his lair. He either eats them or tortures them. He also has a whole gang of minions that help him do this. Krampus is celebrated around many parts of Europe and there have been a lot of petitions to ban him. This is because people are scared of the legend and they don't want to keep doing it. But every single year during Christmas time, there are always reports of Krampus sightings all over the place. Let me know what you guys think about Krampus in the comment section below.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew, Part 3. The first firefighter killed in 9/11 attacks was struck dead by a falling body in the courtyard. One of them was killed on his way in, and the other was killed on his way out. Right now, there are tiny little bugs on your face munching on your dead skin. Your bones are wet. If you don't have kids, you will break an unbroken line of children that has gone on for tens of millions of years. A scientist studying death asked a man who was about to be executed by a guillotine if he would blink after his head was chopped off. He ended up blinking for 30 seconds. Most laugh tracks for TV shows were recorded in the early 1950s, meaning that you hear dead people laugh. If you're attacked by a bear, it won't try to kill you like other predators. Instead, it'll just start eating you. One day, someone will mention you for the last time, then they'll never ever mention you again.
Crazy to think about, man.
Here are the creepiest Christmas urban legends, part 1. Ever heard of the Yule Cat? This is an extremely creepy cat that's said to originate from Iceland. According to stories, the Yule Cat enjoys snacking on people during the holiday season. And what makes the Yule Cat even weirder is that it specifically targets people who haven't received any new clothing before Christmas Eve. Iceland is also home to Gryla. According to Iceland lore, Gryla is a giant ogress who leaves her cave in the mountains to feed on children during Christmas. To make the story even creepier, Gryla keeps the Yule Cat as a pet. What the hell is going on in Iceland? Then we have Belschnickel, and this one comes from Germany. According to people of the Rhine, Belschnickel is an old bearded man who visits children during the holidays with Santa Claus. If you were good that year, he'd give you cakes and candy. If you were bad, well, Belschnickel would pull out a switch and whip the children until they behaved. This is probably why Dwight from The Office loved him so much. There's also Krampus. This is one you've probably heard about from movies and books. In the Alpines, Krampus is a horned demonic figure who visits the homes of naughty children on December 5th and punishes them. In some versions of the story, he hits them with birch rods. In others, he straight up takes them back down to hell with him. The Germans definitely know how to scar kids for life.
Scary things hidden in Disney movies. In Mona, Olaf from Frozen appears in Mona's basket. Wall-E, Rex from Toy Story All Alone among the junk.
Whoa,
Here's
I never
the
noticed
truth
that.
behind Dora the Explorer. You may think it's just some ordinary cartoon, but there's actually a big secret behind it. Dora the Explorer is actually blind, and here's proof. If you watch the show, you'll notice Dora never actually looks at what she's talking about. She always looks in another direction and doesn't even blink. This also explains why her parents make her take Boots everywhere, because Boots is actually a secret service animal. Even in this scene right here, Boots is counting the coins and she's not looking anywhere near that. And this explains why she always asks obvious questions to the audience. The 16-year-old.
Whoa, what the heck? Hey, that's a new theory, man, that she just put in my head. Was Dora the Explorer always blind? What do you guys think, man? They was lining up perfectly.
Hurled her newborn out of her window. Viewers' discretion is strongly advised. On September 30th of 2016, a 16-year-old Antonia Lopez had gave birth to a baby girl. Right after giving birth, she took a photo of the baby and sent that photo to her baby's father on Snapchat. Antonia had captioned the photo saying it was a girl, by the way. Right after that is when she made the decision to throw the baby out of her second-story window. Shortly after that, she then decides to post on her Facebook around 3:40 a.m. to see if someone can help her out. Someone ends up replying to her Facebook post, and she is asking help to get rid of a deceased baby, needs some trash bags, and a car. Antonia ends up telling her mom what happened, and her mom immediately calls 911 and rushes down to that baby to perform CPR. Antonia was taken into custody, and she could face up to 20 years in prison if she was charged as an adult. The judge ends up charging Antonia as a juvenile so she can avoid prison time. Instead, she was sentenced to live in a group home, complete 50 hours of community service, attend therapy sessions, and delete her Facebook account. The only reason they made her delete her Facebook account was because of the angry comments she was receiving.
Here's what famous cartoon characters would look like in real life, and the last one will freak you out. This is what Homer Simpson would look like as a real person. And this is a 3D rendering of Mario. Buzz Lightyear doesn't actually look too different in real life. And Bart Simpson seems to have a missing chin when he turns real. Stewie Griffin from Family Guy doesn't look too different. But SpongeBob SquarePants might freak you out.
Yeah, he did. SpongeBob can't be real. that face.
Maps that will change the way you see the world. These cities are all still owed money from the Trump campaign. There are now over 50 countries generating over 50% of their electricity from renewable energy. This shows the employment rates for 15 to 29-year-olds in Europe. The darkest blue areas are over 80%, and the darkest red areas are under 30%. This is how much it costs to hold a prisoner in each state in the United States. In Arkansas, it only costs $23,000, but in Maine, it costs over $300,000. 33% of the entire country of Switzerland live within 5 kilometers of the main train line that goes through the country. This map shows how population is dispersed through France, with the same amount of people living in the green as in the red. This map shows how many people by percentage in each country in Europe actually speak French. This map is highlighting every city that was founded by the French in the United States.
Wow, the more you know. That first map is crazy, bro.
These are scary cartoon truths that would terrify you, part 8. Okay, so the Teletubbies is a dark nightmare about genetically engineered slave creatures being systematically trained to become part of our society. The Teletubbies aren't in control of their own destiny, and 3 things control their day-to-day life. First is the voice, which is a tiny female voice that tells them when they could eat, sleep, say hello, or even say goodbye. The robotic voice comes from a speaker in the ground, hinting that something larger lies beneath. Next up is Nunu. He is a harmless vacuum cleaning robot who follows the Teletubbies and cleans up all the messes that they make, and also yelling at them for bad decisions. Nunu is just the watchdog of the Teletubbies. Finally is the pinwheel. Whenever the pinwheel starts to spin, the Teletubbies stop everything they're doing and run to the top of the hill to perform a ritual. People believe the Teletubbies is based on the end of the world.
Wow, we've heard some crazy theory about the Teletubbies, but that's definitely new one.
Saudi Arabia has just said that the groundwork for what would become the largest structure on Earth is now 86% complete. Now, not only would it be large enough to fit 20 Empire State Buildings inside, but similar to the Las Vegas Sphere, in its center will be this spiral-shaped tower encased by a VR dome that essentially could create anything your mind could imagine, whether that be on Mars, under the ocean, balcony views of Pandora, and even whatever the hell these things are. So the question is, do you think they'll be able to complete this by 2030 or not?
This evil grandmother
I don't think
makes
so.
her 20-month-old granddaughter in the oven. Viewers' discretion is strongly advised. 48-year-old Carolyn Jones lived with her brother and 20-month-old granddaughter Royalty in Shaw, Mississippi. She was described as a caring woman who loved her granddaughter. On October 15th of 2018, Carolyn's brother had found Royalty in a still warm oven when he had returned home from work. She had been burned so badly that she was unrecognizable. The police determined that Royalty had been stabbed multiple times and was still alive when she was placed in the oven. Royalty's cause of death was stab wounds and inhaling all that heated air. Carolyn was taken into custody on a charge of first-degree murder. The motive behind why she did this is still unclear to this day. A week before the incident, Royalty's toys and belongings had been left on the curb for trash. Royalty's car seat, high chair, ride-on horse, and diapers were among the items taken by people that were passing down their street. Neighbors were shocked to hear about what happened, and they stated that they rarely saw Carolyn or anyone else at that house, and they had no idea that a small child was even living there. In 2022, Carolyn was sentenced to life in prison for capital murder.
An 11-year-old boy came across this girl buried underneath the sand, and this is what happened. A young boy named Connor Fitzgerald was building sandcastles with a couple of his friends at the Marina Dunes beach in California. The boys soon moved to digging holes in the sand and challenged each other to see who could dig the deepest. As Connor was digging his hole, he suddenly hit something with his right hand. He dug deeper and realized that it was a bag. He dug around the bag, grabbed it, pulled it out, and was shocked when he realized that the bag was still attached to its owner. Connor then dug back more sand to find a little girl buried underneath. He called out for help, but there were no adults around, so he single-handedly pulled her out of the sand. The little girl was completely limp and wasn't breathing. Connor then thought back to an episode of NCIS where he saw a character perform CPR. As he started the procedure, a young couple walking down the beach started sprinting toward them.
Damn, we gotta find that part too, bro.
Rebecca got up and she said, call 911, I can't breathe, and then she collapsed. And at that point, I understand that the assistant manager hit her one more time, but even before that, she was trying to go back into the back office and try to delete the video of the attack.
This is so crazy. This 24-year-old clocked into her job at 7-Eleven and was murdered by her manager. This is Jessica McLaughlin. She was working her shift at 7-Eleven in Melrose Avenue in Hollywood when her manager, Valeria Pera, attacked her during an argument. This is the assistant manager, which still has not been found or arrested, by the way. It's not clear what the argument was about, but she allegedly threw a bottle at Jessica, pinned her to the ground, and then sat on her chest. There were other co-workers there while this was all going down, and they said that they tried to get Valeria off Jessica's chest, but then Valeria tried to attack them. Mind you, she was sitting on Jessica's chest for over 10 minutes, and when she finally got off, Jessica was unconscious, and the workers tried to do CPR on her, and while they were performing CPR, Valeria ran to the back and tried to delete all the surveillance footage. They called police right away, but Valeria fled on a bike and still hasn't been found. This is so sad because Jessica was declared brain dead at the hospital, and after almost 2 weeks, her family decided to remove her from life support. Jessica's family then said that Valeria bullied and harassed her at work for a while, but they never thought that it would ever come to this.
People who gained real-life superpowers after an accident.
Talk about it.
Jason Padgett was a party animal who hated school and got terrible grades. But one day, 2 men savagely robbed and attacked Jason outside of a karaoke bar, leaving him with a severe concussion. The concussion caused him to become a mathematical genius and made him learn fractal geometry, which he had never been taught before. When Derek Amato was 39 years old, he hit his head after diving into a swimming pool and was diagnosed with a concussion and 35% hearing loss. After that, Derek began to see black and white keys in his head, and out of nowhere, he began to play the piano like an expert. Ben McMahon was in a car accident in 2015 and fell into a coma for a week. When he woke up, he could speak perfect Chinese, even though he had only learned the basics as a child. Tony Ciceria was struck by lightning after making a call in a phone booth. Within a couple of days, he was addicted to music, which he wasn't before. After trying the piano, he became a musical artist, composing his own music.
Damn, we got some real life superheroes, bro. On the big 2025.
A flight attendant who was on board this Delta flight is pointing fingers, accusing the airline of showing a reckless disregard for passenger safety by using an inexperienced pilot in a bombshell new lawsuit. Vanessa Miles was traveling as a passenger when the flight crash landed and burst into flames after flipping over and skidding on the tarmac. Miraculously, all 76 passengers and 4 crew members survived the horrific crash. Wow. Miles was left unconscious and dangling upside down by her seatbelt following the accident. Now Miles is seeking $75 million in damages, claiming the airline knowingly assigned an inexperienced and inadequately trained pilot to the flight, causing the fiery crash. The lawsuit claims the airline cut corners on safety by rushing pilots through training programs and knowingly putting passengers at risk. The unidentified captain of the plane had worked for Endeavor Air, a subsidiary of Delta, for 18 years.
Did this late?
For 18 years? So how the heck did the plane flip? It can't be from an inexperience, right, bro? He did 18 years on the job. What's going on with these planes now, man? You gotta be safe, bro, when you traveling somewhere nowadays. Be careful.
Did he actually call herself from the future? User Mystery Mint submitted a story to unexplainedmysteries.com. She said that she often experiences strange phenomenon, but this one still remains a mystery to her. She said that in high school, each classroom had a phone that could receive a call from any other room in the school, as long as that room had a telephone too. One day during lunch hour, she was inside her art classroom, waiting for a call from the office. She was growing impatient, so she picked up the phone and called the office instead. She said that the phone usually always worked, but this time she just heard static. She waited to hear the secretary, but she just heard more static, so she said hello. But still, nothing. She suddenly got embarrassed and said, "Sorry, wrong number," and hung up. She said that not even a second later, the phone rang. She thought that it was the office calling to yell at her because it sounded like a student was playing a prank on them. What she heard instead still confuses her. She picked up the phone ready to apologize, but instead, she just heard static. Before she could say anything, she heard someone say in an all too familiar voice, "Hello?" Then more static. She said that she couldn't say anything, she just froze. There was more static, and then they said, "Sorry, wrong number," and hung up. She wonders if she somehow managed to call herself from the future.
Calling ourselves from the future? I don't know. Could that just been a static mix-up? I didn't even know freaking.
This 10-year-old girl beat an alligator in a 1v1. In 2017, 10-year-old Juliana Oso was in knee-deep water at Moose Park in Orlando, Florida, when something horrific happened. Out of nowhere, a nearly 9-foot-long alligator surged from the water and lashed onto her leg. The force dragged her under as the reptile tried to spin and pull her deeper. But Juliana didn't panic. She fought back. She began punching the alligator as hard as she could, but nothing worked. Then, in a terrifying moment of clarity, she remembered something she learned at Gatorland, a local wildlife park, that if you block a gator's nostrils, it can't breathe. While still trapped in the gator's jaws, Juliana shoved 2 fingers up its nose. The alligator, unable to breathe, released her. Bleeding and in pain, she ran for her life and screamed for help. Park rangers rushed her to the hospital where she was treated for puncture wounds and received 10 stitches. Miraculously, she survived with no life-threatening injuries, and the craziest part, her parents said she was calm the entire time, even joking later that she fought off an alligator and won. At just 10 years old, Juliana turned a deadly attack into a story of survival and pure courage.
She's a legend.
Videophobia. I'm going to show you 5 photos. If you feel too uncomfortable to make it to the 5th photo, then you could have a videophobia. So let's go. Number 1.
I'm cool.
Feeling uncomfortable yet?
Still good.
And how about this? Nearly there. Last one.
It's like something out of the Anaconda movie.
If those photos made you feel uncomfortable, then you could have a phobia, which is the fear of snakes. Follow now to see if you can make it through the next phobia test.
We still don't mess with snakes over here, Seekers, though. That's a no, dude.
Something has changed with La Pascualita. Like, something is very, very different with this mannequin. If you don't remember this story too well, she resides in Chihuahua, Mexico. She's been in a store shop window for over 100 years. It's believed for a long time that the mannequin would move or have like an all-knowing stare. It would come alive at night, like a lot of like folklore stuff. The more morbid legend, and the more true crime-oriented legend, is that she is actually sort of an embalming experiment. Possibly the former shop owner's daughter who died tragically on her wedding day over 100 years ago. People tend to fixate on the hyper-realistic details of this mannequin, where they talk a lot about the hands, the realistic fingernails, they talk about veins in the face. The weird part is that she went missing for a period of time. She was removed from the window and then reappeared looking like this. It looks like La Pascualita. It does, but there's something that's very different. She looks polished or refreshed, like they repainted her. Very curious to hear what you think.
Bible
switch out
in real life. Sea of Galilee, where Jesus walked on water.
Interesting.
Synagogue, where Jesus would have gone. The Garden of Gethsemane, where Jesus prayed before he was taken. The Jordan River, where Jesus was baptized.
Water looks so clear.
Tomb of Jesus. Noah's Ark. A stone that Moses hit and water came out.
Looks like a king.
Jesus nailed to the cross on Mount Calvary.
Doja Cat came at Sydney Sweeney and now she's paying the price. So at this point, we all know that Sydney Sweeney had a very controversial American Eagle ad. Well, Doja Cat decided to parody this ad and sort of come at Sydney Sweeney with the way that she talks in this parody. And it ended up backfiring, and now Doja Cat is getting canceled. So according to people online, Sydney Sweeney's jeans ad is based on an ideology that a certain German man would love. Put more simply, people are saying it is an arsist ad. Well, if you don't know, Doja Cat has a very well-documented arsist past that is a lot worse than anything Sydney Sweeney has done. So because of this dig that Doja Cat took at Sydney Sweeney, this arsist past is being brought back up, and now everyone canceling Sydney has switched their targets from Sydney to Doja. Basically, everyone's saying that Doja Cat has absolutely no room to speak out against Sydney when she's done significantly worse. People have done things like repost old screenshots, old videos, old pictures of Doja, and there's even people making whole video essays on Doja, going over every single thing that she has done in her past that would be considered arsist.
People who gained real life.
Man, I need you guys to stand below on the Sydney Sweeney jeans, I guess, controversy. I don't know, man. People going back and forth. I'm just sitting back and observing, man. I'm that mean, bro. Learn to sit back and observe. Not everything needs a reaction.
Superpowers after an accident. In 1971, Edwin Robinson was in a severe car crash that made him completely blind and partially deaf. 9 years later, he ventured outside his home to rescue his pet chicken from the rain when he was suddenly struck by lightning. But due to the high voltage blast from the lightning strike, he miraculously could see and hear perfectly fine again. During Adam Rayner's early life, he suffered from dwarfism, and at his tallest, he came in at 4.5 feet. But at the age of 21, he developed a tumor on his pituitary gland, which led him to grow to a staggering 7 feet 8 inches within a few years. This made him the only human to ever be classified as both a dwarf and a giant in the same lifetime. Rory Curtis got into a car accident that was so severe he fell into a coma for several days. Thankfully, he came out of it, and when he woke up, he could magically speak perfect French, even though he had only taken a few French lessons 12 years before the accident.
A 70-year-old woman's life was taken by an elephant, and once it was time for her funeral, it came back. 70-year-old Maya Murmu lived in a small village in India. She lived a simple life. She would help her family with chores and would collect water from the village well every morning. On June 22nd of 2022, Maya went to fetch water like she always did. But that morning, a wild elephant believed to have wandered from a nearby sanctuary charged at her. It trampled Maya and she died instantly from her injuries. Once the village heard about this, they were heartbroken, shocked, and mourning her loss. Later that night, her family and neighbors gathered for a traditional funeral. As the ceremony was beginning, the same elephant returned. It stormed the gathering and once again attacked Maya's lifeless body. The elephant trampled Maya's body again and then fled into the forest. Nobody knows why that same elephant returned, but many believe that elephants don't forget. They have deep memories and sometimes emotional responses. To this day, no one in that village knows why that same elephant attacked twice or if Maya was just in the wrong place, wrong time.
What did Maya do? For elephant to spin the block on her, bro? Yeah, that did something, man. And I heard that elephants have like excellent
He turned
memory.
plastic waste into gasoline and now he's missing. So this guy, Julian Brown, found a way to turn plastic into usable gasoline for vehicles. Well, now Julian has gone missing under mysterious circumstances, and he actually left us some hints that something might happen to him in his previous videos. You see, in one of these videos, he opened the video by saying he's not going to live long, and then he later in the video goes on to mention how threats won't derail him from what he's trying to do. Julian also made a video where he said that there was odd stuff going on, and he said that he was, quote, under attack. Now, if you put two and two together, it kind of seems like Julian may have been threatened for what he's doing. I mean, there is a meme that whenever someone's about to disrupt a big industry, such as the oil or medical industry, they end up mysteriously going missing. Now, Julian's fans think that something very sinister happened to him, so they're trying to bring as much attention to this as they possibly can. For all we know right now, Julian could just simply be on vacation, as it hasn't been too terribly long since he posted last, but like I said, his fans seem to think otherwise.
Bullies called this kid a monkey, but what the internet did when they heard his story will restore your faith in humanity. This 21-year-old boy is named Zanzaman Ellie, and his whole life he has been bullied for the way he looks. Zanzaman has a medical issue that makes his head smaller than the rest of his body, and people in his village bully him and call him a monkey because he eats grass, climbs trees, and just lives an unusual lifestyle. He was bullied and beaten by all the people in the village because he was seen as an animal and not a human being. And the more he was bullied and pushed around, the more he feared people. It caused him to run away from home every single day and into the jungle, which made his family extremely worried because there are dangerous animals in the jungle. But after Zanzaman's story went viral, a YouTuber named Afromax started a GoFundMe for the family, which raised a ton of money. $6,000 to be specific. Afromax gave his mom all of the money and they actually bought a brand new home to give Zanzaman a better life. People who are one in a million. This girl's name is Zhang Rufang, and she is over 100 years old. But a few years ago, something strange happened. She started growing a horn on her head. At first, it started off small, but now it's grown up to 6 centimeters in length. But the craziest part is, she's actually starting to grow a second horn on the other side. And doctors have offered to remove it from her head, but she refuses. Before I show you the craziest one, I just found a way you can find your celebrity lookalike, and apparently I look like Mr. Beast. If you want to know who your celebrity lookalike is, just press this link in the comments. Next up is Nam Yusoi, and he has perfect night vision. And the strange part about this is both his parents have brown eyes, but he has blue eyes. When everyone else sees darkness, he sees perfectly in the middle of the night.
I mean, a big part of his fortune has to be gone by now, and now he has all these civil lawsuits. Will there be anything left?
It's my understanding and it's my assumption that Mr. Combs has plenty of money, plenty of cash, and plenty of assets to pay his lawyers and to pay out any judgment that will potentially be brought against him. That's my understanding, and that's my hope as we pursue these cases. Certainly, defending a criminal case with, I think he had 2 rows of defense attorneys. Yeah. I know that is not cheap. We have certainly had circumstances where we have won judgments against those who allege that they're millionaires, billionaires, but refuse to sort of cooperate with the collection process, and we then have to pursue those judgments. Unfortunately, I would say it's one of the flaws in the American judicial system that while paying judgments is not optional, it's mandatory. You still have to sometimes go and chase those judgments. But again, we are moving forward under the assumption that if there is a judgment against Mr. Combs, that we will be able to collect on it, and we will pursue collection on it.
Videos that seem to have a disturbing backstory. This cheesy dating show from the 1970s shows Rodney Alcala winning a date with the female contestant. Rodney was believed to have killed up to 130 women and appeared on the dating show during his killing spree. Luckily for the female contestant, she didn't go on a date with Rodney as she felt he gave off a creepy vibe. This video shows Chris Watts pleading for the return of his missing pregnant wife and 2 young daughters. At the time of this interview, he had already killed his pregnant wife and 2 daughters and put their bodies in oil tanks. And at the end of the interview, he has asked this question.
Shanann, Bella, Celeste, if you're out there, just come back. Like, if somebody has her, just please bring her back. I need to see everybody. I need to see everybody again. This house is not complete without anybody here.
The woman you are looking at is going to do something that's going to shock the world. This is Amy Carlson, or also known as Mother God. Amy was a regular suburban mom who worked at McDonald's, loved singing, and lived a pretty normal life. But something changed around 2006 when she became deeply obsessed with conspiracy theories and had this divine intervention that she was sent from God. She began claiming she was an eternal sent to save humanity from all of its weaknesses. Some of her wild claims were she has lived 534 past lives, including being Jesus himself, Cleopatra, and even Marilyn Monroe. Over time, she built a cult-like following and created a group amongst themselves called Love Has Won. The outside world, this looked like a spiritual community meant to promote positivity, but inside was much, much darker. They treated her like a god, and she even created these strict rules such as no negativity, no talking back, and you must be loyal to her at all time. If the group members broke any of these rules, she would make them starve. In April of 2021, police were called to a remote house in Colorado, and the scene looked like something out of a horror movie. Her body was found in a sleeping bag covered in Christmas lights surrounded by essential oils and glitter in what looked like a makeshift shrine. Her skin had a grayish purple tint to it and her eyeballs were missing. The worst part is the followers were inside of the home and some even sleeping within inches of her corpse. One of the followers even had a child there and none of them were panicking because Amy had just ascended and she would return. 7 of the members were arrested, but all charges were eventually dropped. But to this day, some of her followers still continue to post online claiming that Amy will return. Make sure to like and follow for more videos tomorrow.
3 conspiracy theories about presidents. Number 3, George W. Bush and 9/11s. One of the most controversial and widely discussed conspiracy theories concerning American presidents involves George W. Bush and the attacks of September 11th, 2001. Some conspiracy theorists believe that the Bush administration had prior knowledge of the attacks, or worse, that they orchestrated them. Although these claims have been widely debunked by various investigations, they remain a topic of debate and speculation for many. Number 2, assassination of Zachary Taylor. Zachary Taylor, the 12th President of the United States, died suddenly in 1850 after just 16 months in office. While his death was attributed to natural causes, some believe he was poisoned because of his anti-slavery views. In the 1990s, his remains were exhumed and tested to confirm or debunk this theory, but no signs of poisoning were found. Number 1, Thomas Jefferson and the cold. A lesser-known conspiracy theory suggests that Thomas Jefferson, one of the founding fathers and the 3rd President of the United States, concealed a secret illness, often described as a chronic cold. Some believe that this illness might have influenced his decisions and policies. However, this theory lacks solid evidence and is generally viewed as speculation.
What do you think about those theory seekers? That cool one with Thomas Jefferson got my mind thinking and turning.
9 things that have happened since Diddy was arrested. Leonardo DiCaprio left the country after photos and videos were released of him at Diddy parties. Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis have also left the country after photos and videos of Ashton surfaced at Diddy parties. Michael Jackson's death case has been reopened. Whitney Houston's death case has also been reopened. Beyonce lost 5 million followers and is being investigated.
I have to call cap on that one.
Tragically passed away. Netflix is already making a documentary about Diddy. Kardashians are under investigation. A $50 million bail has been denied and Diddy is in isolation. How do you think all of this will play out? And who else should be investigated in this case?
3 animals we'll likely never know again. Number 3, the Steller's sea cow, a majestic marine mammal of immense size, once inhabited the serene coasts of the North Pacific. Just 27 years after its discovery in 1741, it was hunted to extinction, showcasing the vulnerability of the ecosystem and the devastating impact of human intervention. The swift disappearance of the Steller's sea cow offered little chance for in-depth study. Hence, it haunts marine life history records as a ghostly reminder of our past. Number 2, the great Aokai, known as the northern penguin, was once a dominant figure in the North Atlantic, notable for its large size and inability to fly. This bird met an untimely end in the mid-19th century, hunted to extinction. It now stands as a powerful and enigmatic symbol of the devastation caused by human intervention, primarily through overhunting and inadequate conservation efforts, raising questions about our interactions with the natural world.
We're destroying it, man.
Number 1, the thylacine, also called the Tasmanian tiger, was an iconic species and the largest carnivorous marsupial of modern times. Native to the remote corners of Tasmania, Australia, and New Guinea, this captivating creature was officially declared extinct in the 20th century. Today, it exists only in photographs and tales, a chilling reminder of our planet's lost biodiversity and the irreversible loss we experience when a species is lost.
Let's see if you have nyctophobia. I'm going to show you 5 photos. Try your best to make it through all 5. Let's start the test. How does this dark hole make you feel?
I'm fine.
How about walking home at night alone? Walking down this hallway with no flashlight. Looking out of the window and seeing this?
What is that?
Or looking out at night to see this figure? So how did you do? Did you make it through all 5? If not, then you could have nyctophobia, which is the fear of the night or darkness. Let me know if you have nyctophobia in the comments below. And remember to hit the plus sign and follow me to see if you can make it through the next phobia test.
I got nyctophobia. I'm not scared of the dark. I'm scared of what's in the dark.
7 people in this world that hold physical keys to the security of the internet. It's not like they control the internet, but like if one of them were to mess up, they could very well make very core parts of the internet just disappear. Less than 60% of the internet's traffic is human. Over 40% are bots, and 30% of that 40% are malicious and actively trying to go after you and your data. The internet created brand new reasonings for all sorts of things, but especially divorce. Like in 2011, became the year that over 1/3 of divorce filings mentioned the word Facebook. The internet and all of the electrons that are holding the data weigh less than a grain of sand. And it's actually losing weight, it's getting skinnier, because in 2000 it weighed about the same mass of a strawberry. What does Wi-Fi stand for? Does anybody actually know before I say it?
Wireless internet?
It's a trick question. Wi-Fi doesn't actually stand for anything. They just called it that. The reason Facebook is just so blue is because Mark Zuckerberg is red-green colorblind.
She took her first bite of meat and suddenly craved human flesh. This is Raw, a shocking French horror movie about a girl named Justine who is a lifelong vegetarian and starts veterinary school. During a brutal hazing ritual, she is forced to eat raw rabbit liver for the very first time. At first, she gets violently sick, but then the cravings start. She can't stop thinking about meat, and soon, animal meat isn't enough. Her body begins to change, she scratches at her skin, and her hunger only grows. Everything spirals out of control when she accidentally tastes human flesh and realizes she likes it. At that moment, her cravings start to become uncontrollable, and the people around her notice that something is very wrong. This movie is bloody, disturbing, and unforgettable. Raw will leave you queasy and questioning your own appetite.
Prison cells in different countries. In Mexico, the prison cell.
Why is she striking a pose?
In China, the prison cell.
Some bunk beds?
In Russia, the prison cell. In Japan, the prison cell. In the United States, the prison cell. In Norway, the prison cell.
At a view of outside?
In Brazil, the prison cell.
Bryan Kohberger, who murdered 4 University of Idaho students, will be put on trial in July. Let's talk about where he is now and all the events that happened leading up to the trial. Right off the bat, this case was really weird. He murdered 4 people inside of a campus rental in Moscow, Idaho. There were 2 others that were home that didn't even hear these 4 people getting murdered by him and getting stabbed to death. Those 2 were unarmed and they were ruled out as suspects. And everybody thought that was ridiculous when it first happened. Everyone thought it was those 2. He was eventually caught, but the weird thing about him, he had a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. The master's degree was in criminal justice. I know, very ironic here. Now, at the time of the murders, he was getting his PhD in criminology. People described him as quiet, but very intelligent and curious. However, many people noted he had a very anti-woman stance. He even got a warning from a bar about not talking to the women and not coming back because he was creeping everyone out. Before the murders happened in the house, he found a few of the girls on Instagram and messaged a couple of them with no response back. They didn't follow him back. This was just a couple weeks before the murder, so was he stalking them? There were just a few pieces of information that they had on him. One was that he had a white car. One other thing that was very important at the crime scene was a knife sheath. They found his DNA inside of that. He got pulled over twice after committing the murders. He was on a road trip with his dad. His dad obviously didn't know about the murders either. He was let go with verbal warnings both times that he got pulled over. Now obviously with the DNA, the evidence, and everything matching up, they decided to go after him for the 3rd time. Now he's claiming he has an alibi on the night of the murders, that he went hiking to see the stars, but they're going to use his cell phone data to try to see if that lines up and if he's telling the truth. But with his DNA being in the knife sheath at the scene of the crime, I mean, I doubt that. He's currently staying at a local jail 300 miles away from where the murders were committed. He will stand trial in July, like I said. What are your opinions on this case? Anything stick out to you or weird you out about this case? Let me know. I think one of the stranger things about this case was that he was narrating that everything was going to be okay to himself without speaking to anyone. I feel like at that point, the pressure was starting to get to him. He knew he was about to get cooked. We'll see what happens in July, though.
You saw that happen. He knew he's about to get cooked. It's over for him.
Do you guys remember this woman, Taylor Schabusiness? She just spoke with Law and Crime from prison, sharing the horrific graphic details of her crime. As a reminder, in 2022, Taylor Schabusiness murdered her partner, Shad Therion, during a, quote, drug-fueled sex rampage. She then dismembered his body and put his severed head in his mom's basement for her to discover. The discovery was made on February 23, 2022, and shortly after, Taylor Schabusiness was arrested and charged with Shad's murder. She initially pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity, but in 2023, she was deemed to have been sane when she committed the murder. Schabusiness was ultimately convicted of first-degree intentional homicide and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Now this week, 2 years after her sentencing, Schabusiness spoke with Law and Crime in a phone call from prison. And in the call, she detailed what happened the night of Shad's murder, including what led up to the attack. And just a warning, this is graphic. I'm not including too much of the graphic content, but it is rough. This is an exact transcript of what Schabusiness said to Law and Crime. She said, "I went to my ex, who was a Satan disciple. We all Latin kings, so we beef, and we don't F with SDs. She said she gave him money for drugs, and he pocketed the cash. She said that Shad wanted to have intercourse before she left, so they went into the basement, and that's when he pulled out 2 chains, according to her. Then Shad told him that he didn't have her money. So she said, I took a chain and put it around his neck and asked him again, where my money at? Then she said he pocketed the money that I was supposed to have, so I went out and took his out with that." And then she said this, and I'm not even gonna read it. You can read it. Schabusiness said that Shad turned purple, but his heart was still beating, so she grabbed a knife from the kitchen upstairs, and that's when she committed that second part. She said she then dismembered his body, cleaned up the crime scene, and loaded some of the body parts into her trunk. She planned to get rid of the body, but was arrested before she could do so. In the phone call, Schabusiness also told Law and Crime that she is trying to appeal her conviction and get out of prison, but I don't think this phone call is going to help with those appeals. The fact that somebody could do this and then detail it so anecdotally is terrifying. Rest in peace, Shad.
Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support. Make sure you guys leave a thumbs up in this video. Comment down below. Hit that post notification bell. You guys are going to catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.